Hey.
Hey, good evening.
Sounds like you feel like I feel.
Yeah, it wore down. I finally had a weekend off of regular work, but then I was busy all weekend. I actually got out there and done some splits Friday and Saturday. Well, Friday evening and Saturday morning. Finally got everything done. I got about 6 more splits done. And then all day Sunday, we boiled 7 bags of crawfish and about 35 pounds of shrimp.
For Mama's Day?
Yeah, so that was a hot one all day.
Well, James was here on Friday with Steve from Daisy's Honey. They were here that day, and Dennis Lentz came down Friday afternoon, and we had a good time. And then Saturday, what'd I do Saturday? Not much, I don't think, Saturday. Sunday, I pulled some honey, spun it out, jarred it up. I jarred up 48 pints. I haven't done my 1-pounders yet. I still have honey in the bottling tank. And today I sold a case of pints. So did do a little bit of honey sales already this year. But I've got today was the first day that I was almost like, Lee, I'm not going live. I've got a horrendous toothache.
I was kind of feeling it.
And it was like, just one of those things, that it just didn't feel it, not feeling it. But hey, hopefully we can get some people in here tonight and it'll turn this thing around, because I've got to do a live stream on Thursday with Charlie's going to be in there for the Greater Baltimore Beekeepers Association. So it's going to be a Zoom stream. So we're going to be doing that on Thursday night. So it should be interesting. Hopefully my jaw is better by then. It's been killing it. But so you did splits. Is this not a little bit late to do splits in your area?
A little bit, but I had some hives. I mean, our flow just really kind of got started with the tallow, and everything started blooming out probably Thursday or Friday. But I had some hives. I mean, they were right on the brink of probably swarming anyway, because I hadn't been out there.
Right.
So I just took a frame or two out of each hive and made splits with them into another box. So that was 6 more splits, and I'm not worried about honey on them this year. I'm not going to get any on that anyway, but they'll just be ready for next year.
Take that honey and pull out some comb for you, maybe?
Yeah, it's the biggest thing I'm looking at. I put 3 of them into my horizontal hive. I put 1 on each end and 1 in the middle. That way, as they're growing, I can just move that follower board over and end up having like 3 10 frames in the horizontal. I put 1 into a 5-frame nuke, and I actually requeened one of my aggressive hives. I went out there and was going to steal a little bit of brood out of it, and they were all up in my face trying to get in that suit. And I said, nah. I said, I'm just going to find the queen in here, pinch her, and drop a new one.
Well, see, James will say my bees are spicy. Sorry, it's not funny, but it is a little funny that he got stung a couple times, and I had a guy, and people will probably tell me I'm wrong for this, but this guy called me. His name's Ali. He owns a vape shop, and he calls me, buys honey from me all the time, right? And he's like, "Hey, do you have any more of that light honey?" I said, "Well, actually, I just bottled it up, right? I just bottled some up." He says, "Well, he knows the price. He buys them all the time, right? So it's like, well, hey, will I get a discount if I get 10? No." you know.
I always want a discount.
Yeah, well, see, here's the thing. He ended up getting a discount anyway, but it was like this, okay? So he shows up at the yard, or he sends his nephew. His nephew shows up in the yard. He says he wants 7. Okay, so 7 times 15 is $105. He brings $100, right? So he's still getting $5, right? I mean, it's not huge, but it's just the point. I should have just given him the 6 and change back. But it's just the point that, he feel like he beat me, and he did beat me for $5, right? So,
yeah. Well, like if the little local stores around me want to order a case, I mean, to me, they are getting a discount because they're getting it at wholesale. Then they turn around and sell it retail.
Well,
but as far as the farmer's market, I really don't give a discount on anything unless you buy at least a case, and I might throw in 1 extra jar for you.
Yeah, but see, that's the whole thing. I was out of honey, right? So it's like, I don't have a problem selling all my honey. And, when I went and bought those $600 worth of frames the other day, there was no discount on that. You know what I mean?
Nope.
So it's like, and I bought 600. You know what I mean? So it's like, or $600 worth. It was only 170 something frames. But I mean, it's kind of the point that why, I mean, they just feel like you have to give them a deal. I mean, and I'll tell you what, I had a guy come, and there was a guy here at the same time when I came out, and he said, "Hey, last time I came and got some of your swarm lure," another beekeeper down the road, right? And he said, "And I was $10 short." He said, "But I need some honey." So he paid me for the honey and remembered to give me the $10 from last time, which I had totally forgotten, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
you don't find too many people like that these days.
So it did kind of, I guess, even itself out as far as the whole thing. But when people, I feel like it's almost like they feel like they're taking advantage of you. When you go to the grocery store and they have a shelf of barbecue sauce, and if you buy the whole shelf of barbecue sauce out, it still costs, whatever it is on the shelf. You're still paying the exact same thing.
Yep. Like Brian says, you give them a deal basically one time and they're going to want it every time.
Yeah, I had a guy get mad at me about that. He says, "Well, every other time." No, sir. No. I might forget a few things, but I'm pretty sure I know when I give somebody a deal.
I'll remember my money.
Sometimes I'll give a deal if they're like, "Oh man, I wanted 2 bottles, but I only got this much," right? Then I'll say, "Well, you know what? Don't worry about it this time. Don't worry about it this time. But next time," like that guy, when he called me and I told him the price, and then he sent less money than what he knew he was going to need, that's him trying to get over on me. So so next time, guess what? When he says, "How much are these?" They're going to be $17 for him. My price went up for him.
What you do, you go to the vape shop and tell them you want to buy some vape stuff or cigarettes, and tell them, "Look, you want a deal."
I want a discount on every one of them,
Yeah.
So
I only got this much money on me.
Yeah, so I understand, but at the same time, what they don't understand is that I can't just technically can grow more honey. You know what I mean? But not till next year. You know what I mean? What is set in place right now? What's working right now is what's going to be. It's not like I can just throw up 5 more hives and all of a sudden have 500 more pounds of honey. It doesn't work that way. So
I know I've got less than a 5-gallon bucket left in my bottling tank right now, and that's all I got besides what I have on the hives that I need to pull.
Well, you would be proud of me, Lee. I did something. I'm gonna show you. I started doing something, and it could be totally stupid, but it kind of is helping me out, I guess. Let me see if I can. Where is the tab? Is it entire screen? Yeah, let's just show it in screen. All right, so I started. I put the date. Might have to make me big here. Let's see. Make that spread. There you go. So I put the date, how many frames I pulled, 40 mediums, no deeps. This is actually wrong. So I'm adjusting this back because, I had to put it a little bit less because of the filter and all that, the strainer. So I did bottle up the pints. So I know they're 1.5 pounds a piece, right? So I know that's 72 pounds, but I haven't bottled up what's left in there. So once I bottle that up, I'll be able to tell what my actual number was, and then go back and adjust the poundage.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, for the most part, it depends on what your moisture content's going to be. That pound versus gallon, it's going to fluctuate just a little bit here and there.
so, so some of the frames, I mean, in all honesty, they were capped, but they were like really thin. I don't know if they were thin and capped, so it didn't hold as much honey as some of the thicker ones and some of the crazy ones.
Yeah, I had, I think, 2 boxes last year, 2 mediums that I pulled. They were 95% capped, and they were still running like 19.5% moisture.
And if I was thinking about it, I'll get it in a minute when we get some people in here and people are conversing. I'll go and grab a jar of it. It was light honey. Still having an issue because you have the same uncapper I have. That uncapper works great if it's fat.
Yeah.
But
basically, if you run in 9-frame supers, it will have that fat combing.
They're basically drawing it out right now as wide as the end bar, the wider piece on the end bar. That's basically how fat it's getting. So I had to use the roller. I was using the roller to uncap. So my tabletop uncapper is just sitting there. So I need to find a better way to go about it, because it's just putting way too many chunks of wax in the system. And since I don't have a clarifier or anything like that, then it's becoming a bit of an issue for me because it takes a lot longer.
Well, one thing I would do whenever I was having that problem, whenever I get a little pile of cappings in my uncapping tank, I'll take a small handful and put on one side of that strainer and build like a little levee. That way, whenever I open my
I ended up taking that double stainless one that has this extendable thing on it, right? I cleaned it out and then I put it on top, and I was scooping them off of my top of my bottling tank and then dumping them in there and letting them drip back in.
Yeah.
But
like I said, what I would do, I would build inside of that little strainer on one side of the wall. I'd build a little levee of wax.
Mm-hmm.
That way, when it was coming out of my extraction machine, I would make sure the flow went down inside that levee. That way, most of the honey would go down through there. But if it filled up with wax, the honey would roll over that levee into the rest of the strainer, but it would hold that wax on that side.
I gotcha.
It kind of helps from getting wax in all of the little strainer holes.
Knowing me, I'll find something out there and be like, I'm going to buy it. I almost did. Daydant had a clarifier. But then I'm like, if I get the clarifier, well, then I got to buy a pump, right? So then it's like, but at least the Daydant clarifier comes with the switch, right? That will control the pump. So I don't know. It's just pulling honey used to be something I really enjoyed doing, but it's starting to get a little bit tedious, but you know, it is what it is, and pull it
I
off.
don't really mind pulling the honey, but the heat is just what gets me.
Well,
I
that's why
don't
you got
deal
the
good
cold
with
beer
heat.
next to you. The cold beer. I always have a cold beer while I'm
Yeah.
spinning honey out.
I'll drink mead maybe, but I ain't drink beer or anything like that in years.
But but yeah, I mean, so I sold a whole case of those pints. Today's Tuesday, since Sunday night is when I bottled them. So Monday, Tuesday. So that's, essentially what's 12 times 15, $180 or something.
My brain ain't working.
Yep, $180. So not bad. And not bad for a day. And again, I didn't advertise, I didn't tell nobody.
Do you remember what we paid for that little steam uncapper?
$400, 400 and something bucks what I paid.
Okay.
425 or something like that.
It's like 435 now, but I was thinking it was 2 or 3 something when I bought it.
Yeah, it was like $395 plus shipping, I think. Is what I got. I mean, the reason I bought that was because the Simple Harmony one that everybody was talking about was only like $25 or $30 cheaper. So I was like, yeah, let me go with the steam uncapper. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes with that. But again, I just pulled it and then gave the frames right back to him after I spun it out. So hey, Steve, good to see you. And let's go ahead and drop that link, man. It's 25 minutes in.
You got it, or you want me to drop?
Oh, I can drop it. Hold on, and I'll go ahead and pin it. Let's see. There we go. Oh, pin message. There we go. I'm sure Charlie's waiting in the wings somewhere. I saw James pop in for a minute. Maybe he grafted, what was it, 40 cells, and out of 40 cells, what do you get? 36 out of 40, I think. So, not bad. You know who else is doing real good this year with their bees? Garrison.
I hadn't got.
I
know I was sub to him at one time, I believe, but I ain't seen nothing come up on my notifications.
He's been posting more on Facebook than he has on YouTube. But I mean, his apiary is looking really good. So
I'm gonna have to go back in and make sure I'm still subbed, because a while back I thought I was getting stuff from a bunch of different people, and then all of a sudden I stopped getting it. Yeah, now it's showing that I'm not subbed again.
Well, YouTube is doing crazy stuff. I mean, people are even saying, well, you've been live, Bob, but I haven't gotten any notifications. So,
because I was subbed to several people here a while back, and then I'd go check and it'd say, no, you're not subbed.
And work is really putting a damper on my beekeeping, man. So I've been doing, there's Garrison. I suck at videoing. Hey, man, your apiary's looking great. And you know who else's apiary's looking great?
DC.
Sebastian, beekeeping gardening out of the UK. He's been sending me some videos through Facebook of his bees. So I mean, everybody looks like they're doing really well, man. It's good. I'm happy for everybody.
You seen DC's yard lately?
I haven't seen DC's yard. Did he put up a video?
Oh yeah, a couple of them. It's looking real nice.
Hey,
I told him he's starting to make me look bad.
Why don't you share it, man? You share that video or show the video. They're probably not very long. Are they long?
Some of them are, but I wouldn't say long, but I mean, you could show a clip here or there, just what he's done. But
I haven't, Daisy, Steve brought me down 2 nukes from New York. We put them in 10 frame boxes. I have not even looked at them. I've seen seen that they're coming in and out and just leaving them alone to draw comb up. And I bet you they were pretty strong nukes. I bet they'll make some honey this year. Hey, there's Daniel.
Yeah, Garrison there.
Hey, Daniel.
How you doing?
Hi, guys.
Doing good, man. I see your apiary growing like wildfire over there.
Yeah, well, it actually grew more yesterday, so it was I'm about out of room.
I saw you. I saw the post. I think it was a post from today. At least I saw it today, where you were making some nukes to move out to another yard.
Yeah, well, I got them during a thunderstorm yesterday, and I probably took about 35 stings, but I'm actually taking them out to David tomorrow, DC.
Oh, okay. Those are going to be in his
And
yard. Are y'all working
so
together or
those,
something?
yeah, I'm working with him, and we're gonna. My yard's too full, so we're gonna start raising queens down here and um, filling up his yard. So,
Well, that'll be good. I mean, um, you probably have a market for queens too. I mean, people looking for queens. I haven't gotten any this week yet, but last week I got a couple calls for queens, but I just haven't pulled the trigger. I haven't sold any. So just trying to stay to my plan for the year to grow, and get a little bit bigger. Look at that.
That's DC there. Adding
There's
more
DC,
stands. He got
yes.
some more on the other side too.
Well, he had 0 coming into the spring, right? So he had total loss last year, I think.
He picked up 6 nukes 2 weeks ago, and we got those at the same time. And then I caught a swarm last week and took him up to him last week. So that was an extra one. And he's in the process of getting 4 Russian queens sent to him. And somebody has a carniolan available probably 2 miles from his house. So he's getting that also today. So
you guys are really diversifying the genetics then. So you probably have Italians. Yeah. Everybody's got some Italians, right?
I've got 2 Kona Italian queens. Most of mine are carniolans also. Oh, there's DC. So
we're just talking good about you, DC.
Yeah, I told him you're making me look bad now, DC. Your yard's looking good.
His yard's looking really good, actually. So,
well, it's easy to move hives around when there's no bees in them.
He said it, DC, not me.
You can rearrange everything when there's no bees in the yard. You can reinvent the whole wheel.
Mine's hard to move around because I don't go out there and they propolize everything shut.
I'm just picking on you there, DC. But yeah, I mean I've already pulled some honey, and we're just gonna let it try to hopefully. What I did is I originally put comb on my strong colonies, right, so they could fill them up and cap them, so I could pull them. And when I pulled them, I gave them foundation back, and then once I spun them, I gave that drawn comb to my weaker colonies so they wouldn't have to draw comb out. So we'll see if I shot myself in the foot or if I should have just gave them back to the strong colonies and just kept letting them fill them. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm on my way to beating my numbers from last year as far as honey, so that'll be fine. I'm already beating the bees, right? So
look like I lost my trophy.
Yep, make a motion to put DC up for the yard of the year. Now you just got to fill them up and get them fat before winter.
Yeah, my wife said I could have bees, but they had to look pretty, and so that's why I have a pretty yard. David has a really nice yard, so.
Well, I've kind of, and you know what? When James was down here, he says, I like the fact that you painted your boxes colored because you're going to protect your equipment longer, and it looks pretty good. Not as good as his bees, but we got these mean South Carolina bees down here, evidently. I'm just used to them. I mean, I've got a few that are, bounce off your veil, but for some reason, it doesn't matter. You're going to get that bee that just comes, checks you out. And it doesn't matter where you're at in the yard. And that's the ones he's like, we're not even close to him. And he got zapped on the nose twice. And I got stung on the ear, you know, so it's like, but Steve didn't get stung. Well, he did get stung, but it's because he was taking a nuke off of his truck, and when he did, he pinched one, right? But other than that, he didn't get hit. Let me see. My girlfriend said bees are fine, but if I don't move those supers off the front porch, she's going to shove them up. Charlie, what's going on? You're muted.
He forgot his mic again. Thought we taught him better.
Not
Bob.
much. I'm trying to set this.
I'm gonna head out, guys. I just wanted to jump in here.
All right. Thanks, Dan,
Hey,
for
thanks,
coming
Dan.
in, man. Don't
You
be
know,
a stranger.
much.
Have a good one.
We'll talk to you guys.
All
I'll
right,
try
Dan.
not to be. Bye.
See you, Dan.
So
Who's Dan? I don't think I know him.
Garrison Apiaries, he's been in the chat for ever since we've been doing videos. He just kind of hadn't been around for a little bit. He's been busy, I guess. And you know, just busy. What you been up to, Charlie?
Let's see. Since last week, I got pretty much, hopefully, all my hives requeen. As far as ones where I had sold the queens, you know, with the nuke and stuff like that, got either I've dropped in 8 virgins and I've got 6 mated queens I put in. So hopefully everybody comes back and we're back to in business. And then yesterday evening, I went over here. I was a new beekeeper. Oh, he's maybe less than a quarter of a mile away. I helped him. He's got 8 frame equipment. And hold on.
Choking on your popcorn? As he puts more popcorn in his mouth while he's
No, take it out. Got down my throat. So anyway, he's been I've been helping him out. You know, he has really one super strong hive. We've been equalizing it, keeping it from swarming. He's been putting acorn foundation in, and he must. I mean, I've looked him where he's at. He's in a kind of an area where he's got blackberries and locusts and poplar. And I told him, I said, you know, over there's that locust is blooming, and the bees are drawing out the frames wonderfully. I mean, they're just bringing them out and filling them and stuff like that. So it's doing well for him. He happens to be a carpenter. He needed more boxes. I said, well, I don't know where you're going to find boxes. Everybody doesn't have anything. Well, he came rolling in today and he built 10 boxes himself, and really good looking too, you know, got everything measured out right.
I wish bees down here would start drawing the comb out like that. I mean, we're starting to get a decent little flow now, but I mean,
he's doing better than I am. And I'm like, you know, I ain't that far away.
Yeah. They've been slowly drawing ours.
Yeah, my new boxes, like the new splits, they're slow to build up comb. So when I pulled those honey supers the other day, I put them wet, right? Once I spun them, they still have honey on them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just dropped that right on top of them because
they'll go right there.
They'll go right up to it, and then they'll realize, hey, I got all this room to work in. And so, you know, I just cherry picked the colonies, right? I went through the colonies, and if they were capped, they got pulled out, and some more comb went in there. And why did they kill all of his queens? I didn't watch the video. I haven't seen that video yet. I've been at work all day.
They superseded the queens.
Who knows, man. I've taken freshly mated queens or queens that I've put in there from a graft or something, and they're mated, and they'll let them lay a little bit, then they'll kill them and make their own queen out of what's left in there, you know. Maybe they didn't get mated quite good enough, or, you know, who knows.
I talked to Brian. He said there was one issue was the fact that the weather was cold when he put him in there. I don't know whether that had anything to do with it or not. So
Yeah, it's hard to
know.
tell. It's hard. They're just going to do what they're going to do. You know what I mean? And
I'm going to go ahead and drop a link in the comments here for Garrison's channel. If everybody wants to run over and give him a little sub.
look who it is. 500 sub people.
Unbelievable.
Would have
Hey.
never thought it.
No,
Just a
absolutely not.
little persistence. You know, I see people's channels that are growing. They grow way faster than even, you know, my channel or anybody's channels I see. And it's like, there's no way that they're getting those organically from beekeepers. I mean, I don't know how they could grow that quick. I mean, I understand if you get like a viral video or something that it could spike, but if you're getting them off of shorts, it's my belief that yeah, you'll get the numbers up, but when you start producing videos, you're not going to get that much run time there. You know what I mean? And watch time. Look who it is.
Oh, James, how you
There
doing?
he is.
It's that great South Carolinian, James McNally.
Look like you got a bad signal.
He's out in the apiary.
Evening, guys.
You're going to have to get a Wi-Fi hotspot to carry with you out there.
Guys.
Yeah.
That's a,
We don't hear you, James.
Here tonight.
Hearing like every few words.
Yeah, well, through my apiary, Bob, nobody's.
Oh,
Well, you can.
Grayson said all
You're cutting
not
out
out to get-
bad.
you're cutting out bad, James.
thank you, DC.
Grayson, I would love to agree with you, but I don't agree with you. All your subs didn't come from your videos. All your subs came from going on people's live streams. That's where your subs came from. And then when you started pulling people into your live streams, that's when you started getting subs. They didn't come from your videos. They would have probably never seen your videos had you not started going on live streams. It'd have been much slower. But you're doing a great job. So not to discount that. You're doing an awesome job. But the live streams exposed you to several beekeepers that you probably would have never found you.
That's where mine started going up when we started doing the lives.
Mm-hmm.
I wish y'all would quit talking about that because that's all he's been hammering me with about let's do more lives. Let's
go live. Let's do it live. Look,
and that's what he tells
Bob's
me.
half retarded and he can go live. I know we can go live.
She listens to our conversations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm sure y'all get off the phone with me and be like, man, if that dude can go live, I know we can go live.
No, absolutely not.
No, it's
No.
pumping me up
That's
because
it.
just chatting and carrying on. I'm like, well, hey, we can do it. You know?
Yeah,
You
he
can
is.
do it.
He's trying to convince me of that.
Y'all
We'll do
should
it.
do it. Keep them going.
Like we trying, like we say, it's just everybody that has. I mean, God love you. We appreciate you. That type thing. But we never imagined. Like
I
say,
know
at least
500 people
500.
watching us goof around with the honeybees.
That's it. I mean, it's the thing is that when you do, like, my thing is I don't put out much video content, this is the time of year I should be. But last year, I wasn't working. I could put out a bunch of videos. You know what I mean? This year, when you're working during the day and it's 85, 90 degrees outside, well, y'all know, last thing you do when you get home is want to do a video. You want to go sit in the air conditioner for a little while and drink sweet tea or something and relax, you know?
Way too tempted.
And luckily, we've been able to keep our streak alive for over a year. And, you know, that's kind of just the night we picked out, and we just do it, you know. And
Hey.
you guys are going to grow.
I do got a small secret to tell y'all, you and Lee. Are we buffering?
No,
No,
you're
you
fine.
sound good.
Okay, all right. Whenever, I think it was Houston or Earl gave us the first shout out on y'all's live channel. Man, we was getting messages. I got up the next morning, I looked at the phone, and there was all kind of people commenting, talking about, hey, Lee and Bob sent us, Bob and Lee sent. And I'm thinking to myself, who in the world is Lee and Bob?
Yeah.
Because the reason why, about a week or so before that, I had some gentleman words with a fella on another social media page, and he was a commercial beekeeper. And well, me and him kind of tied up a little bit, and I was thinking,
Yeah, that's an understatement.
I was like, that son of a gun, he done said something on YouTube, you know. So I went to fumbling through, and I looked back, and that's when I seen, like I say, I think it was Houston that did the shout out, and I was like, all right, now this is pretty cool, you know. But yeah, the first time I seen all that Lee and Bob stuff, I had no idea what was going on.
You didn't know what you were getting into, huh?
We didn't know what was going on either. We still don't know what's going on from week to week. We didn't even talk to each other before the stream. Literally, I came in the room. Lee was already there. His screen was up, but he wasn't at his desk and wasn't like right at time. He comes in. And
Actually, I went in there to make me something to drink, and I ran in here and left my drink in there.
So what we realized when we first started doing this was we would come in 30 minutes early to get everything set up, but then we would talk about everything bee-wise ahead of time. And then we would get on there and it'd be hard to remember, well, did I tell everybody that, or did I just tell Lee that? You know,
That's why I got the clipboard now.
So now we just kind of hop in and talk, you know. At least I hop in and talk. Lee hops in and pushes buttons.
And we both do what we good at.
Popcorn.
We enjoy these lives. I imagine everybody else in here probably say the same, whether it's just chit-chatting or actually helping brothers and sisters out to be able to perform better.
Well, when we started this, I mean, our goal was it didn't matter if you had one colony or 1,000 colonies. We felt like everybody could learn from somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we just stayed with. And
just open it up. I mean, heck, a new beekeeper might have a question for somebody that has a little more experience from them or than them, but then an experienced beekeeper might be doing something for years and they're just not working out. And somebody's got 2 hives, have figured some little trick out, and they learned something new.
Well, the other thing that it's let us do in this format is also not just talk about the same topics all the time, right? So we're able to go a little bit more advanced, and I think that keeps it interesting for me, right? So when some of these bigger guys come on, they're like y'all see, I went outlaw again. I went and got some more popsicle sticks. So
I didn't hear that.
Hey, I don't have a bee police, so I can do what I want to do. They're my bees. If I kill them, it's on me. So, and however, I did talk to a customer today from my day job who is actually an epidemiologist working for the University of South Carolina, but they're working at the zoo, and they're focused on ticks, right? What kills ticks and how to block ticks. But there's another lady there. Her boss is all about different beetles. So I said, hell yeah, I need to talk to her. I said, because I need her. My whole yard will be dedicated for her experimental phases on small hive beetles. She can use my whole apiary to run tests on small hive beetles. So hopefully we get that set up to where we can try to make some progress.
That could be really cool.
I might end up having a small contact, at least in the departments anyway. Now, they are doing specific research on other animals or other insects, but they kind of cross here and there doing different stuff. Me and Bob talked about it here a while back. I hadn't played a game since I was 13 years old. I don't know if y'all can see.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Went back to Dungeons and Dragons here a while back. Well, one of the guys in the group, clean cut guy, real smart. He got to talking. He said something about proboscis one day, and I just kind of caught my attention. I said, "You do bees?" He said, "Well, every now and then I look at them, but he said my main study, he does mosquitoes and the effects of interacting with different animals and stuff." So I'm going to try to talk to him. He's at LSU, so I'm going to see if I can get in touch with some of them over there and see what different research they've working on and have done. Get some information on them.
Here you go, Charlie. Here's one. How do I entice my bees to do honey in supers instead of queen laying in supers without a queen excluder?
I use a queen excluder.
Well, what I found is
now, does he have? He's trying to get the
bees to go up and put honey in the supers, but the queen not lay in it.
Well, does Chris what do you call it? Have some drawn comb up there? I mean, definitely want to put drawn comb, up above the queen excluder so the bees will go up there. But now
the other thing you can do is let them start to lay and then move that super up and let that brood hatch out. And then from what I'm told is once you get honey in the box that she won't go above that honey.
Somewhat. Sometimes.
Supposedly. That's the old wives' tale.
All right. So he says he just has
just frames. Spray sugar water on them. Hold on. I'll be right back.
I would not put the queen excluder on and let them draw the wax out and let them lay some eggs in there. And like Bob said, shake all the bees out, put the queen excluder on, then put that box on top of that. The bees will come back up, cover the brood up, and you'll have some brood frames in there, but they should keep drawing the wax out if you got a good flow.
Yeah. That's what I've done. Besides putting the queen excluder, I'll just put, a full box up there with no excluder, and those bees that kind of start coming in there, checking it out. Once they start drawing, the queen may come in there and lay a couple of eggs, but then I can throw an excluder on. Once they hatch out, they're just going to backfill it.
But that's what I would do. That's what we did with the my neighbor up here. He had 8 frame. He had 2 mediums, I guess it was, and he had a box of. I said, you need he had a box of foundation, and I said, well, just go ahead and put that on there. And then we went back. I came back. I don't know. Let's say a week later, they had drawn out the frames, and she had started laying up quite a bit, and we shook her down and put a queen excluder in. But then because I got to thinking about it, because of 8 frame versus 10 frame, you lose 4, let's see, 9, 10, you lose 4 frames of brood area because it's not 10 frame boxes. And I said, maybe you might need 3 mediums on that for a brood chamber. So we went ahead and put that back down. By that time they had plenty of, she was making all kinds of bees and plenty of bees going up, and they were drawing the wax out. That looks good, like good honey. It
is pretty much that privet.
Yeah.
Those privet trees. It tastes pretty good. It's a little bit of a different taste, but
our privet here is usually a little bit lighter than that, but that little cold snap we got this year, it just knocked them down, and I don't think I got any at all, which I hadn't pulled the supers off, but I don't think I got any privet this year.
It tastes like money to me. That's what it tastes. Tastes like money. Smells like
money.
It's
like I got a text today, a lady. She's gonna stop in around 6 tomorrow, and she wants 12 pounds of honey. So,
well, it's nice and nice. I don't know if you can see that.
I can see the bubble going through it fairly slow.
It's still got some stuff.
Steve wants to know what the moisture is.
Hell, I don't know. It was capped. I didn't test it. It was thick. It tasted like honey, and it got in the jar.
The bees said it was good enough, so they capped it, huh?
Yeah, it was. Believe it or not, I mean, and the funny thing is, I've got my my tester right on top of my extractor, and it's just sat there. And I was pouring sweat in the honey house, and I just left the door open, and any bees that remained in my super, they flew out as I was pulling frames back outside. So it came out pretty good. Yeah, this it to me it tastes a little bit like root beer, just a little hit of root beer. And I do have a high school up the road, so they might be drinking root beers on lunch break or something. I don't know, but it does it does have a little bit of a root beery taste to me. But as long as they buy it.
Yeah, our locusts, the blue, I guess the blossoms, they were like snow white. Now they're starting to get a little gray looking, brownish.
Mm-hmm.
But the poplar trees are starting to bloom. And I think I've seen some, I'll say cherry trees. It's kind of like a long, little thin blossom, kind of like little fingers hanging down. So that's blooming there too. So stuff's coming in. I've been putting, like I say, last week before I left for West Virginia, I put supers on and some foundation on, let them build, wax for me if possible. And then, like I say, got all the queens situated. So hopefully by this weekend, maybe I'll see some evidence from them virgins. It's been 2 weeks. So
I think I've got 2 sets of pins left, I think. Maybe 3. 3 sets until my next order comes in. So hopefully it makes it here before I sell out. The single brood box did not work for me on several hives swarming. However, the ones that did not swarm made as much honey as double deeps. Yep.
You got to stay on top of them a lot quicker, and depending on your flow, you instead of throwing 1 super on at a time, you might have to throw 2 on sometimes. Because they will fill them quick.
Yeah. Now with me this year with single brood, I did some different experiments. You talk about it in my videos about it, and talking with James and all them. If you noticed, like Ian and James and all of them, they're always making splits. Of course, they're making nukes they have a 2-year rotation in order for their nuke battery. And you can either make nukes or you're going to go in there and equalize them hives like I had done in the past. And I thought I could get away from not having to equalize prior. They say prior to the flow or when your main flow. Well, our flow kind of starts at the same time. And I put the honey supers on the last week of March. April flow starts coming in
Slowly. Slowly starts coming in.
Slowly starts coming in, and the boxes start getting filled. And then our main flow hit about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago, and you'll say, the bees won't swarm. They're all about making honey, which is true. But I went back to my original thing with single brood chamber management is to go in there and equal about every 2 weeks or so, equalize those hives, pull out that extra brood. That's, about half of it, and either put it up. If you don't have a weak hive to put it in, put it upstairs into an extra brood chamber up on top and let it hatch out up there and let her have room to keep on laying in the bottom. And the biggest thing I've noticed with a lot of beekeepers, the ones I've been helping, they got a mindset that, I'll put the they got foundation or drawn wax. Either way, they put a honey super on and it gets full of nectar. And it's, let's say if it's a 10 frame box, they'll have 7 to 8 frames full of nectar. and they think they got to wait until it's capped before they put another box on. It seems like, and I'm like, no, 7 or 8 frames full of nectar. You need to put another box on, and they did that really quick. That's when you, like Lee said, you need to put a couple boxes on. Keep, you want them to never have to run out of space to store honey upstairs.
I've been pretty fortunate in the spring. The last 2 years, I haven't had any spring swarms. If mine swarm, I'll get a small swarm typically after the flow, like an early fall swarm, but usually not usually not spring. But that's because I'm out there splitting, moving stuff. Now, last year I killed a bunch of bees, so that kept them from swarming. That'll do it. Just wipe out half your colonies, and then you don't have to worry about them swarming. So, when you take 12 colonies and make 10 3-frame splits, that's 30% of your bees you just flush down the toilet, and they all die. Well, hey, you just lighten the load on everybody else. So I don't recommend that method, but it worked for me.
Yeah. But it's like when I've been selling nukes and stuff. Now this year was the most efficient and stressless.
I missed that step. I don't have the manpower to keep going back.
Well,
that's the thing. If you notice, well, other than James and Brad, I guess. Now Brad, his job is beekeeping, right? So it's probably easier for him to say, I'm going to work 20 today, 20 tomorrow, like that type of deal. James works his job, so he's forced to go through all his bees. And then you got Ian, you got like a team, right? So,
But now, look what James has done. He's mentioned in his videos. He's already made 2 nukes or 2 splits out of those hives because they're so strong. He's working on a 3rd split, and his honey flow in his area hasn't quite started yet. So if he wasn't, quote, equalizing or making splits, all them hives would have swarmed. And that's the thing. It goes right back to the basic thing about single brood tree. You have to manage the population in that brood chamber. You got to keep it at a certain size, and everything is fine. If you let it get too big.
Well, this goes back to the working backwards situation we talked about yesterday, right?
Well,
so
I understand.
So if April 1st is that day, 3 weeks before April 1st, you really shouldn't be touching that colony anymore, right? You should have them set up, ready to go. So they'll be at max capacity when that honey flow hits, and let them rip.
What's Brian going to do? Quit? I guess school.
No, it's summertime for them guys, right? So, and
well, you say that, Bob, but it doesn't work that way here for me. And I think it's location. Our honey starts in April and goes all the way through June. And, and our swarm season starts in April and goes all the way to June 21st. And after that, the summer solstice kicks in, and you can tell the darn queen will start to slow down. And I'm like, I don't need to do anything with these hives anymore, except, just actually take all the honey off, put the 3rd box on, which is, 3 mediums for me for winter setup. And I'm done. Come August, like last year was the first year we had this spotter lanternfly bug come in, which puts out a honeydew, and the bees capitalized on it and filled that top super full of honey. And it's a crappy tasting honey. I was like, okay, it's all yours.
Well, that's what it is. It's bug poop. Poop honey.
So
spotted lanternfly. That's what the bees are foraging on, is that poop from the spotted lantern.
Well, like I say, it takes me a while to, it's like everybody else, your technique and everything. And it's like this year, all right, I learned how to do this last year, and I still fine-tuned it this year, where I made that video where You go in for my nukes. I have 5/5. I find the queen. I set up the top box with what frames I want to sell, 3 frames of brood, honey, and pollen. Put the queen excluder in between, so you isolate her up top. And then the tweaking part this year is make sure, just go ahead and mark her. That way, you you can see her when you put her in that transport box. And and you can do this a day or more ahead of time. And it just makes the day that's the pickup day just makes it so much easier. And it also lets the bees distribute their bee population evenly amongst those 2 boxes. And if it's a 95-degree day, they can cool themselves without suffocating in a paper box. And then this year, I was experimenting. I already know to go back, do the single brood chamber, go and do the equalization. Having that brood box up on top of my stack when I don't have another hive that's weak, I can put that brood up there. I don't have to think, well, where am I going to get rid of this brood? Just put it up there. Shake it off. Don't worry about finding the queen. Put it upstairs. And the bees will come back up there and populate that and cover it up and keep it warm. If you need it for a weaker hive, when you go down the line of hives and stuff like that, well, you just go back here and grab it. And I think it was Russell Koopman. He was commenting about you could also use that as basically it's a resource area for it's like having a nuke box, but only it's built up on top of your 10 frame.
Right.
And you can go, hey, I need a frame of brood for, a box down the road, down the row here. You know where to look, just pick it up, take the bees along with it, because the queen's downstairs, and put it in there. Use it as a resource hive on top of the main honey hive. And then I told him, I said, now, if you're looking to do queens, then pull a frame of brood, but that has eggs in there. Put that up on and shake the bees off of it. Put it up top. Go back in 3 or 4 days, you'll see that they'll start making queen cells because they're far enough from the queen down in the bottom. They think they're queenless. And main thing of it is you got to be on top of it so a virgin doesn't hatch out.
Oh, I had that situation in my yard. It was my tallest carney colony. When James and Steve were here, we were going through it. And over the queen excluder, there was hatched queen cells.
Mm-hmm.
So James was like, oh, I just saw her. I never saw her, and Steve didn't see her, but James saw her. And we took the queen excluder out and put it back together. So,
Right.
Figured they either superseded her or something. But so now we're in that pattern where we're waiting on a flight, which, it's been a week almost. Well, a few days. So
right.
She's probably been out and come back.
But I mean, what I was getting at with I think it was Russell, that, now you made your honey hive sort of a resource / multi-purpose hive where you can put the eggs up there. They will make queen cells, emergency queen cells. Let it, and when you check in and see if they're doing that, you should always know that wait for 6 days when they're capped. You can pull those resource frames out of there with the caps, make a nuke up if that's what you're looking to do. And voila, you got a free hive and you got free queens.
Or if you have a colony that went queenless, you can drop that frame in there with
there you go.
Let it go.
There you go. I had several. I was buying more than 6 mated. I think it was 8 queens. And I had some hives there that were like, I think I had a queen cell in here. Let's see what happened. Well, sure enough, by the time I got my mated queens, there was 3 of them, 3 hives or 3 nukes that already had a queen in there. And she started to lay a little bit. I said, all right, well, we don't need these.
Speaking of nukes, this weekend, I'm going out there and every one of my nuke boxes will probably turn into a double deep nuke this week. So I mean, I found that's the most. You guys can disagree, but Charlie, I know, will agree with me that the best way to get a 10 frame box built out is go 5/5 with your nuke. They'll build up all 10 frames, and then you can take all 10 of those frames and put the food to the outside, brood and larva in the center, and
You're done.
actually, I mean, when I did it before, I just dropped a super red on top of them because they've already got the bottom drawn out, right?
I can do it that way. And another thing is that you can go as high as 4 boxes. You can get, if you want to go double deep, you can, I'll make it go as high as 4 boxes tall.
They just seem to want to draw that comb or that foundation out faster when it's like 5/5 versus 10 out to the side.
Well, what you're doing is you're manipulating the bees. You're compacting them and
Where all they can
making
do is
them
go up.
all they can focus on is 5 frames. If you ever watch a 10 frame box, and well, a good one would be somebody that's brand new, gets a package of bees, 3-pound package. You throw the 3-pound package in a 10 frame deep or medium, well, let's say a deep box. Sit there and look at it. Where is 90% of the bees at? They are on the 5 to 6 frames in the middle of that box.
Or
Then
on the one side.
not off to one side. Then the outer frames, you'll have a spattering, you know, of certain amount of bees kind of over there. And I call them the lazy bees. Like everybody who's in the center is working for the hive. And there's a certain amount over here. They're just kind of hanging out like, yeah, you guys can go over there and build wax. We'll just stay over here and have a good time, you know. Yeah. Whereas if it's in a 5 frame, everybody is confined and condensed around 5 frames, and everybody's focused about building wax on 5 frames. And I've had them high as, like, say, 4 boxes tall.
You know, the thing that gets me with that is the other thing that ticks me off is you'll put a super on. There'll just be a scatter of bees in the super, not really doing anything. But you pull that inner cover off, and there's like 1,000 bees up under the inner cover. It's like, what are you guys doing? Work down here. You know,
they hiding from the work.
They used to do that. Hide from the work. Let's see. I saw some beekeeping stuff for sale today too on the Book of Faces. Specifically, I saw some in North Carolina. Somebody was getting all the way out of it, and for $2,500, they had a ton of boxes and frames and two box pallets and stuff. Where was it?
But was it in good condition?
I got a question on those 2 frame pallets. What is estimated them things are going for?
The pallets that hold 2 boxes?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I've never run pallets at all.
Like James, you mean?
Yeah, the 2 box pallets there.
2 ways instead of 4 ways.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it depends on whether you're going to move them around and all that kind of stuff, unless you got a tractor with a front end loader like Brad does.
Yeah, well, they don't have a bottom board, right? So the bottom board is the pallet. So you have to pretty much use the whole pallet to, like, if you're moving them, I would guess. I mean, I don't know that it would hurt just to set it on the bottom on a truck or something to move it. But I've never used that system myself. But
well, I mean, when you get to that point where you're, you know, either you're moving them a lot or something like that, that's where you don't use an inner cover. You use a, you know, you're like Ian Stepler and Brad and all the rest of them. And James is, you know, you use a migratory lid.
You would have to think it would be cheaper than $50 because 2 bottom boards is $50, you know? So it'd have to be cheaper. It'd have to at least be cheaper than that. Otherwise they would use bottom boards. I mean, other than the difference in being able to move 2 colonies at one
I was
time.
about to say it depends on how you look at it too, because to move them, generally you're going to need a tractor or something to move them with. So that's going to be another expense.
Yeah, big one.
Now I can't find the thing. You know, one thing I did see was James's incubator. I kind of liked that. I was digging his incubator. If you watched his video where it has that red incubator on his counter. I need to find out where he got that from or what it is, because it's pretty nice looking.
What video is that?
I think it was his Mother's Day video he just put up. It said Happy Mother's Day on it.
Yeah, I've seen him just grafting, and that was a bit.
So that Flow Chaser trailer that was at the show is now down to $25,500 from $35,500 at the show. So he must be having a hard time finding somebody to buy it.
How much?
$25,500. It was $35,000. That the pull behind trailer. How many? It holds 72 colonies, I guess, in it. And you got to walk up in the trailer and open a. It's got screen doors in it where you pull the frames out to look at the bees, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's kind of like a
it's a reptile incubator. Okay.
a layings and hive or whatever you call it. I don't see where the ease that there's not easeability there from what I can see of it.
I'm trying to figure out how you would control the temperature in that bad boy. Because if you've ever been in one of them, I know you've been in one, Tim, in one of them enclosed trailers to get, to work out of. You might even own one right now. And man, them things, if it's 100 degrees outside, it's 150 in that trailer, you can bet.
About to say a couple of solar panels, a battery, and some fans sucking the heat out the top.
You'd have to do something.
There's some old boys that's got them little old 110s in them puppies, especially them trim guys.
Mm-hmm. They have them out there in the plant like that every now and then. They'll stick a little window unit in.
But yes, sir. Like you say, it'd be hard to keep that heat.
Keep it down, right? You would think so. I'm trying. Where is it? I see some groups on Facebook where they're all about some Apiary out in Texas, where they're just Apiary. Like that.
I like the ideal of one, and I like the design. I just don't like that price.
Yeah, there's a guy up here in Maryland that's Southern Maryland. I don't know who it is, but like you said, he's all about Apiary.
Yeah, but in Maryland, I mean, I kind of understand because it gets cold in the wintertime, and it might help them out with that. But I don't like buying proprietary stuff too much, right? Where you have to have boxes that fit on that one system. And that's one thing that I'm noticing with the Lyson Hive. I mean, I like the insulation, and in the wintertime, they'll be shook back down into the insulation part of it, but I'm having to put regular size supers on it, and they do fit the hole, but they're just regular insulated, right? And I can't find that post now. It was $2,500. I know that, and it had a big list of stuff, but it was in North Carolina.
Randy said that incubator's $130 Vivor.
Okay.
I mean, talking about your temperatures, I don't know how y'all's was today, but I know we hit about 96, 97 heat index here.
It feels like that in this room right now.
I know on the way home around 5:30, it was still showing 94.
I believe it.
Yep, told Hannah, I said it's time to drag out the do-rags.
If it's too hot in the hive for the bees and they're on the front, it's too hot for me to go work them.
Well, that was my thing. On the way home today, I'm like, well, I want to jump out there real quick and see if they've released the queens that I put in the other day. And then I got to looking at the temperature in the car, and I'm like, nah, I think I'll just go inside.
I'll pass.
Yeah, that's all right. I drive in. Are there any in the trees? Nope. They're good to go. hive
That's
inspection.
what I'll do sometimes. I mean, I come in and I don't have much time after work, so I just kind of walk out back, look, check the trees, check the front of the box, see if I see enough bees still on it that they just hanging out and hadn't swarmed, and walk back inside.
I'll tell you what, when it's time to pull honey boxes, I definitely figure out how old I am, even mediums. It's like them things are heavy, and without fail, I'll pull off a box and I'll be carrying it to take it into the honey house, and someone will pull up wanting to get honey or something. I'm like, I just told that lady, I said, I don't have any. That's what I'm doing right now. I don't have any. I have some this week. So I did. I could have walked inside and got her a jar, but it was too doggone hot and I was too busy. So she has to wait.
Randy talking about 37 tomorrow.
That's what I was just looking at.
37 degrees.
It was about 70 degrees here today at the high.
Yeah.
And it's 68 degrees right now.
It looks like Nature's Image Farms is having a big sale right now.
So, yeah.
They must have stocked up too much at the Hive Life conference because they got a bunch of boxes and all of the Pura stuff. Let me see. Assembled Pura Hive medium box with assembled frames and Pura Cell double wax foundation. So medium super, 10 frames, $60, but pickup only.
We're still showing 84 here right now.
It's 80 degrees right here is what my computer's saying. It's about 90 degrees in here with my computer going, it feels like.
It's only going to be in the 70s the rest of this week. Might get up to 79 by the weekend.
There you go, Bob.
Yeah.
So, I turned down $1. Oh yeah, it's not all about the money, man. And I've said it before with my videos or with the website. The main reason I started to do a store website is so I could get stuff that I want at a discount. Right. So I'm more about saving money than making money most of the time. So, I mean, I know it don't seem like that, but when it comes to bees, I do like to make the money. But I didn't have any pint jars for sure, so I bottled them up. Let me see. I could have got her a 1 pounder. Let me see. I can't find the link. Maybe he sold it all already. Oh, here's somebody in Iowa that's selling bee stuff, $100,000.
Cash?
All his old bee stuff.
Send me his number.
You want it? I'll send you the link.
Right.
You seen that look on Hannah?
I'll send you the link to that guy. I'm trying to find if I could find this other guy. I thought it was $2,500 for all the stuff that he had on there. Was not a bad deal. He said he wanted to do it as a business with his son, and his son didn't really show any interest. And then his son got stung, and they found out he was allergic. So he decided just to get out of it. Yep, that's what I'm saying. EpiPen.
Always have them, even if you ain't allergic. You never know.
Yes, sir.
I got a set right here. Charlie, you got a set of EpiPens? I know Tim and Hannah do.
No.
Hey, look, somebody we ain't seen in a while. What's up,
Hey,
William?
William. Good to see you.
Who is? Was it you, Lee, talking about getting them cheaper from somewhere else?
From Walgreens, didn't you say?
I got them from Walgreens. They usually won't. I think it was $200 and something a piece, something like that. And
yeah, it was $250 for 2 of them.
yeah, instead of me taking off of work, going to the doctor and missing money like that, it was easier for me just stop by urgent care after work, get them to write a prescription. They didn't even charge me nothing, check me in or nothing. They just asked how much I weighed, wrote it out and handed it to me, and go over to Walgreens. And if you do like their little membership card thing or whatever at the pharmacy, I got 2 of them.
Yeah.
I think it was $110.
There you go.
110 and some change. That's with tax.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot better than what we paid.
When it comes time to refill, that's where we'll definitely try that again. Save
We can always
$100.
join the military and go for 4 years plus, and then go to the VA. They'll give them to you for free.
They wouldn't take me.
I was gonna say I wasn't quite free.
Wouldn't take me. Yeah.
I
Definitely.
tried to get in '99 and they wouldn't take me because of my back.
Here's somebody selling an old Walter T. Kelly 72 frame radial extractor, $1,750. Big stick. Oh, it's in Saskatchewan. So, and $1 million shipping. That's what it would be. Oh, here we go. No, that's in Michigan. So Scottsville, Michigan. 6 used with bare frames, deep hive bodies. It's 8 frame equipment, 5 shallows, 4 bottom boards, 3 inner covers, $300 for all.
Who's the shallows?
People that are doing cut comb honey, I think.
Yeah. I've only got 2 shallow boxes, and that's just for cut comb.
The only thing shallow in my bee yard is me. Northern Saskatchewan.
I just used the cut comb wax foundation for them.
Right.
Do you find they draw that out pretty good?
Yeah, I never had a problem. Normally, as soon as I put it in there, I mean, I don't put any other super on it. So once the box is getting pretty full, I'll throw this on and they go straight to it, even through the excluder.
Well, I don't reckon I'm going to find this post I was looking for. Unfortunately, I almost bought a new car today. Well, I've been thinking about it, and I don't know if I like it enough to buy it or not. One of those new Dodge Hornets that they just came out with. I think part of it is because it has a bee on it. And the other, it's like, that's a hell of a price to pay for a logo, right? Just buy the emblem off of eBay or something, probably be cheaper. And but I've been looking at it, but I don't think I'm gonna pull the trigger. I also went and bought a new router, modem router that I was gonna put on, and it cost me $509 with tax. And I flipped the box upside down, and it says does not support the voice from the cable company, because we still have a landline, and the only person that calls that is my aunt. Calls my mom every now and again, and that's the only reason I didn't do away with the landline, because all else you get is crazy calls from telemarketers.
See, we had the cable modem router too through Cox here, and they were just getting ridiculous on the price of it. But the speed, we were supposed to have one speed, but it wouldn't guarantee, and you never reached it. So we still got the modem for the landline, but they turned the internet off, and I went through e-tail, so I got fiber optic, and I just put my own router on.
I got Fios and fiber optics, but I don't see a huge speed difference myself.
To me, with the fiber, I'm guaranteed a speed, and every time I run a speed test, it's there. When I run it on cable company, I was lucky if I'd reach half of what they said I was going to get, because it's kind of shared in your area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you notice they always say you pay for up to this amount. Like, I get about 83% of what I'm supposed to get. I'm supposed to get a gig, and I get about 830 download. So I thought, well, and when I called, because remember my net keeps dropping out every so often, so I called the company about that, and they said, well, it looks like you're having an issue with your modem, and so they could send somebody out and repair it, or I could just go buy one. So that's why I was looking to buy one. But if I got to get one that's got the phone line in it, then it's a little bit different.
Yep.
Looks like Amazon will get that.
We haven't advanced that far yet. Fiber optics is 5 miles south.
Literally, there's nothing but satellite offered out here and it's not
Well,
even.
can't you get one of those like T-Mobile 5G hotspots or something?
It doesn't work.
Oh, it don't
just
work at your place?
pick us out here. Mm-mm.
We haven't found a good actual hotspot that will work. Now, like our phones, we do the month to month from the retail store there, and they run off Verizon Tower. They do pretty good, but like AT&T or T-Mobile, especially T-Mobile, buddy, 2 or 3 miles down the road, it just shuts off, and it won't pick up again for a while.
Let me see.
No.
Yeah, I don't reckon I'm gonna be able to find this due to the algorithm over here on the Book of Faces.
Yeah.
Mark, I ain't never had any of the Caucasians. All I've had is Italians, but I hear the Caucasians do make a crap ton of propolis.
My Italians make a lot of propolis too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't find it. I give up. Give up trying to find it. But it was $2,500, so, and it looked like it was a good deal for the price. Yeah, you know, it's such a racket, man. Internet. I've got Spectrum as well. I think between TV, phone, and internet, we pay about $360 a month.
Man,
Mm-mm.
And the thing is, we don't watch TV like that. We stream TV. So, but the thing is, if you cancel this, it's going to go up because you get the multi-package discount.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know. We're just, I guess, a lot more old-fashioned because like we don't have a landline. We don't have any kind of cable TV or anything. We don't have the internet. we just kind of live in the woods.
I'll be 45 this year, and we've had the same landline here since we moved here when I was 7 months old.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
I'm about ready to go back to a landline.
We don't ever use it, but I mean, we got it.
Don't do it, man. Don't get a landline.
Yeah, you start getting all the scammers,
That's all you get is
marketers all
can
day.
you donate to this,
Yeah.
or calling you for no good reason, you know.
You just
But
start.
I mean, it's only $20. I mean, we paid $20 for the landline, but it's just not even worth it. But they make sure they get you on the TV and the internet.
I think on my internet, I pay $72 a month, and that's for 300 meg down and 500 up. But I mean, everything that I use, I don't use no more. I don't need no more speed than that.
Well, mine is the modem just shuts down. So I need to get a new modem. But the modem I was getting, I sent Lee a picture of it today. It was the Mac Daddy. Like it was the most up-to-date current router / modem that you could get, but it didn't have the phone line. So I would have lost the phone line. So that's the only reason I didn't.
DC's got a good point. The landlines work when the modems are out.
Yeah.
Right. You plug in your landline, have internet after the.
And I think part of my problem is that they're building this neighborhood. So they're I think they connect it, then they disconnect it when they need to do something, they reconnect it. So it kind of goes in and out. And it's always at the good part of the show that you're watching.
See, you just need my old setup here.
No can do, Kemosabe.
I've been thinking about moving it back into the office here. I don't know yet.
Got a whole rack there at least.
Hey, I was talking about you the other day, Lee. I think it was the Tim and Hannah on the phone. I said Lee started doing Dungeons and Dragons on Thursday nights. So I said, knowing Lee, he's got every Dungeons and Dragons book. He's got the miniature characters. He's got everything. Watch, here it comes. I haven't talked to him other than he said he started doing it on Thursday nights. Yep.
Hey man, have you seen those Dungeons and Dragons tables that some of those people build that are like $70,000, $80,000 tables?
Got the managers in the top.
Yeah.
Already knew. Already knew.
I presume this is a video game.
No.
Tabletop game.
It's a role-playing game.
Yeah,
You got to roll dice, Charlie. Your style game. And make believe.
Yeah, you got a little bit of dice to go along with it.
There's
Bring that up,
no
Bob.
dice too, right?
Okay. So what do you do?
It's a game. It's
Oh
just
my gosh.
You
It's-
just
it's
roll.
role-playing, man. Yeah, it's mystical fantasy role playing game. Like
Yeah, you got to roll certain dice to see if you hit other dice to see what your damage is. And just
I used to play that when I was like 10.
you know what Final Fantasy is, Charlie? You ever heard
Huh?
of Final Fantasy?
I didn't hear you, Tim.
The Final Fantasy games. You ever heard of Final Fantasy?
No.
No. Okay.
He's still on Pac-Man.
I like Wolfenstein. I played Wolfenstein.
Yeah, Wolfenstein. Old school.
Yeah, I like
That's a good one,
Wolfenstein,
man. Like
too.
Castlevania,
Till the
Wolfenstein.
damn German Shepherd started coming at you.
Boom, boom, boom.
You just blast them. Doom.
LaGrange, what I did, I was talking to a couple of friends. We were going to get together, but I hadn't played since I was 13, so I didn't remember all the rule stuff. Well, they got a game shop in Baton Rouge. Everybody meets up there on different days of the week, and they actually have game nights to where they got all the tables, everything set up to play right there.
Does it use cards too? No.
Nope.
No cards.
Dice, right? It's just dice, and you build like your own maps, don't you?
You can build.
You can build your own, but you can buy stuff like preset
Yeah.
storylines, maps, all kind of stuff.
Yeah, I just saw one recently. You guys talking about some famous actor had this huge epoxy resin table built.
No, I'm not on Pong.
I remember Pong.
Still on Pong. I grabbed it.
Yeah, I had that game.
Oh man,
Pong was the stuff back in the day, man. Beep.
be good, Larry.
Yeah, we used to have the little small box that had a little knob on each side to make your little bar go up and down and hit the ball.
And that was state of the art back then.
Hey, I remember having an old Atari.
The Atari.
Now, what do they have those ones where it's virtual reality? The what are they called? The Oculus or something like that. The Optic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They got a couple
VR.
of ones.
Yeah, they're kind of. Those are kind of fun.
Yeah, I give up, man. I can't find that post. I was gonna share a post, but I can't find it. So we're just out of luck on that.
Yeah,
But,
DC, they own 5th edition now.
You know what? I've seen a comeback. You know, I always look at different kind of business opportunities and stuff. And there's people making money opening arcades back up in malls. Just quarter coin operated arcades.
I hadn't seen them in years.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, you know, your kids go to the store with you or go to the mall and mom, you're sitting down for lunch. Hey, can I get $1? You know, and they'll have like coin pushers and the crane machines and all different kinds of video games in there. And evidently they're doing okay because they've opened a few of them. But the thing is that those machines are not cheap.
No, they're not.
So, I mean, how long does it take you to make that money back, you know?
Hey, Bob, I put a link in for a D&D table. If anybody wants to see like how intense it gets.
Is that like one of them insane ones?
Oh man, it's beautiful. It's beautiful though. You see what these people go through to build these tables. I think this table was like $70,000-$80,000. Is
$70,000?
It's huge, bro. It's so rad though. Like the detail these guys did to build this table, you see it, and it's just,
I'm looking at
Well,
it
hell,
now.
let's
They
order
polished it.
2
It
of them,
looks good.
Rich.
oh, it's beautiful. It was a famous actor. Who was it? Maggiano or something like that.
Oh, yeah, I know. He was on Big Bang Theory too, playing Dungeons and Dragons with those guys.
Well, they did a composite. That stuff is not cheap.
No, it's a nice table, man. It's beautiful what they did with that thing.
Yeah, well, he's got live edge, and then he did the composite, and then he had a CNC router.
Yep.
If anyone's near Lodi, California, which is in the middle of nowhere, I think, but Lodi,
It's pretty rad on DC.
they've got nukes in Lodi, California for $130, 5 frames in a Jester nuke box.
I think he's trying to say something there, Charlie.
I don't think so. I ain't that old.
I came out with Charlie's secret.
What did it say?
I think you guys banging on Charlie today, man. Paul came out.
When Charlie
picking
started
on
ranch
you,
out of the
Charlie.
corner.
Actually, at Palm, in that where they had the two white dots where they bing, bing, bing.
It had one white dot.
My,
and you had the
my
two little-
uncle, I guess that was what Atari was.
Yeah.
Was the
Yeah.
platform.
Yeah.
He
But I
won.
think before that,
he won-
before the Atari, they just had a Pong system that just had the two.
I think it was Atari, and they were given. You had a chance to win it through McDonald's, and he won it. And we played it for a couple minutes. Like, this is stupid.
And it just
Where did the B channel go?
Yeah.
That's what I was about to ask. Rich there, how his bees were doing.
They're doing well, man.
But,
They're doing well.
right.
I actually
How many you up to now?
2 now. I rescued a queen the other day. I'm like super excited about that because I went out with John and I went and worked bees with him, and he had 2 dead outs at 1 yard, and there were bees that I helped him move. Rescued the queen, brought her back, and we built a package out in one of his yards, and they've accepted her already. I dropped some frames of wax, some drawn foundation in there, just so when she's ready to lay, she's bred, she's good to go. It's just I got to get the resources in them now. So up to 2 now. And then I was out there just working with him the other day, watching him do splits. So that was really helpful. So that's going to help me down the line on how to do splits. And it's real simple. It like getting in there and actually doing it instead of talking about it, So, but yeah, they're doing
Getting
good.
that hands-on experience helps.
It really does. And it lets you get nervous in the process. That way, you know what to expect, and he was saying this is just one way you can do splits, So I was pretty happy to get out there and work with them and get some windshield time. But yeah, they're doing good, man. We just got rain here, so we're pushing bloom. Nectar flows on. I don't know where you guys are at. I don't know if you guys are behind or ahead of us right now, but we've had a lot of rain in the last couple weeks. So
We've had quite a bit of rain, and our tallow's blooming out pretty good now.
nice. Yeah, I just went out and pulled my thistle garden in my backyard, and I've been knocking it out a day at a time because we have this invasive thistle. It's being pollinated, but it's taken over my backyard. So I have a big pile in my backyard of invasive thistle that I got to burn eventually. But other than that, everything's blooming real nice out here. But, yeah.
So have you gotten over your drought out there?
Texas is always in drought, man. I'll consider us out of drought when I see Lake Medina back at 100%. And when and if that happens, I highly doubt it.
I about to say some parts of Texas, you can have a week's worth of rain all day and all night, and then 2 days of dry weather, and the ground's just nothing but dust again.
Yeah, but I've talked to some of the old timers here, and what they've all said, if they get what they call as another floater, right? You'll get a system that hangs down in the Gulf, and it'll just kind of hang out. Remember what was it, Hurricane Ian that was in Houston, I think, that hung out right out there in the Gulf and just dumped all that moisture right into Houston? That's what happened here in the hill country one year. They no, that happened, and we got 12 inches in a 24-hour time period, and everything flooded here. So it can happen, they said. It's not a matter of when. It'll happen eventually. But it's been raining here the last week on and off, and some of the watersheds have kind of filled back up. But again, Texas is it's always drought here, Charlie. It's always drought here. That's the one thing we face here is drought. Always. And like I'm like kind of jealous of where you guys are at, like Lee and Bob, because you guys have such favorable weather. You don't get the hard drought like we do here. You guys get that moisture year round. You're kind of in that sweet
What
spot.
kind of helps me in this area, even if we don't have rain for, say, a week, 2 weeks, whatever, I got a small canal behind my house that's drainage from several miles north of me.
Yep.
So any water that drains out of certain areas, it'll come down behind my house. And then probably a half, maybe 3/4 of a mile through the woods, I have the Amite River also.
Yeah.
And it's never been dry.
Oh, some of the watershed I've talked, because of my business, I've talked to a lot of the old timers, and they're showing me pictures of creeks that were dried up, that were full, but are dried up now, and some of them are overflowing, like raging. They're showing me that used to be that creek right there, and it's all dry now.
Now, the river in 2016, when it overflowed, we had a flood here. I could probably tell you, if me sitting in my chair right now to right about my chest area, we had water inside the house here.
Mm.
And this end of the trailer, the way the land is, the bottom of the trailer is probably 5.5 foot off the ground.
Mm.
And you
And it
still
was
got water
still
in there, right?
several foot inside.
Yeah, no. I mean, I hope Texas comes out of a drought, but Texas's weather is flood, drought, flood, drought. That's its weather pattern. But the old timers do say it'll eventually flood again. The lake will eventually fill back up. It's just time. But for the most part, no, we're not out of drought. Let me see what our stage is at actually right now. I'll tell you guys what Lake Medina stage is at.
Yeah, DC, you never have enough equipment. It don't matter if you think you got enough, you're gonna run out.
Shh! Don't say that. I'm trying to fill what I got without going over. Like
You better buy more than if you don't want to go over.
We are at, as of today, Lake Medina is at 5.2%. Mean water levels at 981.20 feet. Reservoir storage, it's at 13,286 acres.
Good night, Lisa.
And the conservation capacity of Lake Medina is 254,823 acres. So, yeah, we're about almost 200,000 acres under concert, like under. That's pretty bad. And they've only gotten they haven't even gotten an inch of rain, like fill in the last 48 hours.
You got any supers on your hives yet, or are you still building up brood?
I'm still building up brood. I'll probably be super in late, and I won't be pulling honey for a couple years, guys. I'm not even counting on honey. I got to get these girls strong first. I got out yards I'm working on. I
think I got probably, if I had to guess, probably about 12 supers in the backyard right now that need pulled, that are completely full and capped.
Oh man,
pull them and toss them back on, man.
Out of my mentors,
getting the time.
Yeah, my mentors yards are full of honey. The one hive that I worked the other day, that African hybrid hive, that super was full of honey on the top, and he's like, I barely put that on a couple of weeks ago. So they filled a deep 10 full of honey in a couple of weeks. So yeah, they're doing good right now. I won't be super, and not just yet. I got my colony that I cut out. I might be requeening her in the next month or so if she doesn't get her shit together, because she's kind of laying real funny right now. I mean, she's laying, but what the girls are doing in there, they're just making a complete mess of that brood box. They won't pull the wax out. So I'm really just trying to juggle it around and get them to pull it out. So a lot of it's nectar, but not capped yet. If it's not capped, Tex, hey, you know what my mentor said, dude? Go and get a popsicle stick and put them under between the bottom board and the bottom box, right? And that'll help dry out the honey. That'll help them dry it out.
It'll create a little bit of extra airflow in it.
Yeah, that's exactly
what
I
Am I the only one that does the shake test?
I was about to say that too. It just depends on how wet it is. If you can shake that or turn the frame over and just hold it and it drips out, yeah, it's way too wet. Yeah. But even if you could shake it, it's gonna be
if
too much.
If I shake it and nothing comes out, it's good to go. If I shake it and something drips out, I just put it back in and let them finish their deal there.
Well, generally, I try to at least take one test out of every box. Maybe every other box has some extracting multiple. If I find it a little bit high, I'll put it in a 5-gallon bucket and put a towel over the top of it and put that heat band on. Warm it up, and that'll help evaporate some of the moisture out through that towel. But the towel keeps it covered up so that nothing gets into it. Do that for about a day and a half, 2 days, and that 18.5 to 19% moisture I had, it come down to 16.5.
That's interesting.
Just over time.
It is. I'm with you though, Tex. It's so humid. It's probably not even trying to check it yet. I mean, they're bringing in the nectar for sure.
For me, if it's under 17.5, I'll go ahead and take it as it is. But if it's 18 or above, I'm going to try to dry it down at least till 17. But if it goes to 16.5, even better.
Yeah.
You don't want any below that because it won't come out.
Yeah, it gets too thick.
Is it like crystallizing then at that point?
No, it's thick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not so
Bit
much
of
the
water.
crystallization, like Charlie said. It just gets so thick it's hard to fill bottles even with it warm.
Yeah,
It will just drip so slow.
gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, if it's 17 and a half, I don't have a problem with it. I like it around 16 and a half, but 16,
Also, by the
17.
time that you put it in your bottling tank and let it sit there warming up, that's going to evaporate some water off of it too, some moisture.
As long as you leave a little crack in your lid so that excess vapor can go out. Now, another thing that I find, if you don't leave that little crack in that lid and your lid is completely covered, all that moisture is going to go to your lid. If you pick that lid up and turn it a little bit at an angle, all that water is going to drip right back into your tank real fast. So if you have that problem with the lid underneath of it getting all that moisture, when you pick it up straight, move it to the side first and dry it off with a towel or something, or all that moisture is going right back in.
Yeah, I mean, I had some, it was like you say, 18%, and I wanted it. I actually made a little confined space and put a fan on it and put a dehumidifier in there. And about 4 or 5 days later, it's about 16 and a half, 17%. Good enough.
Mm-hmm. It don't take too much to dry it out.
Mm-mm. I know Gus Mitchell did it where he had a fan, I think, on top of the stack and blew air straight down. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, it was inside a building. Was it? And he's down in, what is it, Mississippi area? He
He's in
lives
Tennessee, like Memphis area. I think.
Memphis area with high. If it's high humidity, he's got to have an air conditioned building in order to make that system work.
Yeah.
I don't think he's too far from Mark Mills, to be honest with you.
Mm.
Let's see, in my office right now, it's like 73 degrees in here. I usually keep it anywhere between 71, 74, something like that. That way, if I do need to dry something down, like I said, I'll throw that towel over it with a heat band, warm it up. Or if I have it in my bottling tank, I'll slide that lid over to leave a crack at the top and just lay a towel over that so nothing gets in and that excess moisture will kind of vapor off.
Yeah.
Southeastern Colorado hives, just trying to keep bees alive. What's going on, man?
Good.
What's
Trying
up?
to keep them alive.
Yeah, having a tough time. Put that popsicle stick under the lid. Yeah,
I've seen them do.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, I was about to say I've seen them both. It just creates more of a draft through the whole hive, and it'll help evaporate that water moisture off.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch some of my videos, I have a little block of wood, and I put 2 blocks up on the front of the lid and on the inner cover. I believe they're 5/8 thick, about 2 inches long, and it just jacks that telescoping lid up enough where the air can move, but the bees can't get in. Works good. You don't have any moisture problems.
I don't typically have moisture issues with my honey. Usually it's 16.5 to 17%. Because it's hot as hell out here all the time. I mean,
I drilled holes in the side of mine too, right here, because it's so hot here. I'm trying new things because my beers beat it out yesterday.
your bees bearded out.
Beers beat it out.
Say that 5 times fast.
I say that 5 times fast. Yeah, they bearded out yesterday, so I put popsicle sticks and then replaced the lid because the Texas Bee Supply lids, some of them come notched, some of them don't. So my boxes are in full sun. They get full sun all about 3/4 of the day, and in the evening they get the shade. And about 4 in the afternoon, 5 in the afternoon, they started bearding out yesterday real bad. So I had to.
And then there were 2 sets left on the Amazon. So, man, I hope these come in this week.
Well, saying mine were bearding out here a while back.
Oh, nice. He said, "We're hot."
That's a man's beard right there.
We're hot.
That's a real beard. That's a Tim from Gunline beard right there.
Yeah, see, and today it was pretty nice weather, so I didn't get a chance to see him. It rained this afternoon, so we'll see what happens tomorrow, what they do. I mean, I only put popsicle sticks in the back part of the box too. I didn't put them in the front part because I have a vented lid too. So I'm just going to leave it as is and see what they do with it. I'll let them figure everything out from there.
Only thing I'm using popsicle sticks for is my outlaw mite treatment.
Yeah, and I thought about maybe just trying something on my own bottom boards to see if I wing it, you know. But I'm definitely going to invest in screen bottom boards here. One of my mentors uses them, and he's like, dude, they're rad. If it gets cold in the winter, dude, he's like, you just get one of those insulation boards and you just throw them in the bottom, and then that's it. But he said for Texas, screen bottom boards are actually a really good idea because of the heat. It allows them to maintain the temperature a little bit better. But yeah, definitely screen bottom boards.
Yeah, I've heard that you guys in Texas, that it's pretty much a must down there because of the extreme heat.
That's what my mentor said. He's like, through the last cold we got, I didn't even put any slots in. He was like, yeah, we had some dead, but he was like, overall, dude, they made it through the cold. And he's like, I'm talking the really hard cold too. He's like, they didn't freeze. He's like, we had some hard weather down here. It's the moisture that gets on them that freezes to them. But yeah, 2 pennies. I've heard pennies work. Yeah.
What I've usually done if I need a little spacer when I go out there, I'll just find a little small twig on the ground and break a little piece off and stick it under the lid or a box or something like that.
You can probably put a quarter, you know, something that's just going to give that little tiny gap. That's all you really need. The bearded.
I got a buddy down the road. He left his screen bottom boards on throughout the winter. Had forgotten about them pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And we went over in the spring this year and was kind of rummaging through, see how his colonies were coming along.
Mm-hmm.
Much to our surprise, he had 5 or 6 coming out of winter. And man, let me tell y'all what, there was 2 that had the screen bottom boards. They weren't never covered, anything like that. And they was the best 2 looking hives coming into spring.
Yeah.
The
screen bottom boards. I'm gonna, like what he's saying, maybe 2 or 3 inch holes, or maybe get, I don't know, a really small drill bit and drill a series of holes. You know, that's kind of what I was thinking. Something that the bees can't get out, but will still allow a draft. And if they want to go in and backfill it with propolis, they can do that.
watch out because hive beetles can get in small hole.
Yep.
How big?
Well, I know I got 1/4 inch hole for my vaporizer in the back of the bottom board.
I'm
They
gonna
can
go
get
smaller.
right in there. My bees can get in there. Some of
No,
them.
I'm gonna go smaller. I'm gonna go like, you know,
I don't remember what size hole I got drilled in mine, but after I'm done vaping, I stick a golf tee in it.
yeah, I'm gonna go smaller than that.
Well, a 1/4 inch was the size of the ProVap. I don't know what the other ones are.
Give me a minute and I can tell you.
So
And
the
it's screen bottom.
popsicle stick mite treatment is
I think they're the tongue depressors.
Well, yeah, these are not as big as the other ones, but it's $3 and something for 70 of them. But it's it's Amatraz and Crisco, and you put the Amatraz on the stick and throw the stick in the bottom, and miraculously mites drop off. So it does a pretty good job. I mean, I had that one nuke where I put it in there and 25 mites were dead in 24 hours.
I'm gonna wing something too. I'm gonna get smaller. I'm gonna get a small drill bit. Smaller than inch, man. I'm talking probably like, I don't know, you know, probably size of a toothpick, you know, something real small, and drill half a dozen, you know, dozen holes, a couple dozen holes.
You can put a trim ring, like a feed ring on, and put 3/4 inch holes on it, and then put screen on it. And if it's too much air, they'll propolis it. And if it's not enough, they'll take the propolis out.
For the Instavape, you can put a 1/4 inch hole and it'll fit in. Now that'd be a little snug. I mean, you might want to go just a hair bigger, but 1/4 inch it would slide in.
Yeah, I use golf tees on mine too when I pull it out. Try to. It's amazing how bees can move things way bigger than them, right? I mean, they can move stuff pretty easily. like I used to put sticks in the entrance hole of when I was using the chicken feeder to feed my bees, and I'd put a stick in there so they wouldn't crawl up inside. Come out the next day, that stick is moved out of the hole. I'm like, how in the world did y'all move that stick out of there? They just grouped together and moved the thing out of the way. And you'd always find bees in there.
Gunline, I remember we're talking Screen Bottoms. You guys get some cold weather up there north in Alabama. You guys get some pretty adverse weather too. You know, I was listening to what you're saying about your guy that had those 2 really strong colonies that came out with screen bottom boards.
I've got some. I do like those. The bottom board from Saracel, because it's got a screen on it, or like it's not really screen, but it's vented, right? And you can close the vent as well. So that's an option.
Okay, 1/4 inch or larger. Okay, thanks, DC.
Now, like my old Larabi's vaporizer that I have, I've always done that one through the back of the bottom board with a little hole with a golf tee in it. But since I got the InstaVape now, I just generally do it through the front entrance.
Let me see.
I'm with you, DC.
Track FedEx package. Let's see where it's at.
Hey,
Where
Dennis,
are
have you got to use it yet, or you got it after everything started this year? Because I find the speed of it heating up, I mean, it's quick. It's easy to use. And you would figure something that's battery operated, yeah, they're good, but you figure it would take a little bit longer for that battery to heat up versus something that plugs in 110 volts. But I find the battery on the InstaVape heats up faster than the original Larabi's.
So the marking pins are in Arkadelphia, Arkansas right now. Supposed to be here on the 18th by the end of the day.
See you, Tim. Have a good night, man.
Have a good one, Tim. Happy anniversary.
Dinner
Happy anniversary, man.
tomorrow
Got
night.
it.
I believe I've seen up there, he said 20 years.
I
Yeah.
think it's
Oh, I saw that unscrewing of the soda bottle where the bees spun the cap off of there.
Gotcha.
I'm sure it wasn't wrenched down really tight, but they did. I saw them do it.
Yeah,
And we watched them do it on a mason jar one time to get into some honey.
they'll do
We
it.
had maybe just a piece of a turn on that jar to kind of, we was thinking keep them out,
we're feeding them, remember?
and they were sure enough. But you know, just it took a handful of them to do it, but they took that doggone lid and manipulated that pressure to where they could move it enough to kind of start pushing. We was like, well, look at this.
They're collective workers, man. They work together.
Mhm.
They have to. They have to, or else the colony they wouldn't survive. I've seen it, man. It's awesome.
It is.
Well, y'all, we gonna skin it. It's going on 9 for us here.
Yeah,
But we enjoyed it. Appreciate y'all.
man, we appreciate you stopping in.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all coming every week.
I need to get out of my bees, so we got something to talk about.
Hey, Tim, y'all got everything in that I sent?
Yes.
All of them? Okay.
So
Well, I
let's see.
seen your post that you made earlier, the thumbnail.
Before we-
I'm drinking coffee out of it while we're doing it.
let's see. Oh,
Oh, hi, Katie.
If you can get it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's
that was
one
that's a design that I made, but that was Tim and Hannah's idea. He just passed it along to me, telling me what it should look like, and that's what I come up with.
It's my new favorite coffee.
You mess around, I'll have all them Bible verses you're posted on the side of one, on the side of a cup, and on the other side there'll be some bees on it. I bet you them things will sell like mad.
bring it on.
Oh, yeah.
We'll buy the first one you get.
I bet it would sell. You could probably make a beekeeping day timer that had inspirational quotes. So when you open it up, it would have something related with honey and bees in the Bible, and just be like your daily devotional
It
beekeeping.
probably would now because I looked for something like that about a year or so ago, and there is nothing like that out there.
Just
that I
gotta
can-
make it.
Women
gotta-
would buy it at least.
Well, you could do something at least every week because honey is mentioned in the Bible more than 60 times in itself. Not to mention bees,
But all of us old beekeepers, after 2 months, we would have forgot we already read it once anyway. So you just put it in there over and over again.
Historically, honey and salt.
Honey and salt.
Two of the biggest. If you look back historically, what's used to preserve things? Honey, sugar, and salt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, two biggest preservatives in the world. You need them both. Yep, honey's good, but if you eat too much, it'll make you sick.
You wouldn't know that from experience, would you?
Sounds like it.
My mentor, he's diabetic. He can't eat a lot of honey because it's too high in sugar.
You know, I don't eat that much honey either.
Yeah,
I don't eat too much, but
Well,
I'll
good.
tell it though. And I saw something. I sent it to Brian at Flower Street yesterday when I was getting my outlaw popsicle sticks there. I'll show you the picture. So you can make these, but if I can get my camera to come up here.
I love honey, man. It's so good.
So they've got honey, they're spoons. And it's basically you just put it in your hot tea or coffee and stir it, and it dissolves the honey. And this is honey and lemon. And they have
selling one and done type deals now, huh?
Then they have orange blossom honey. I think it's like you get 4 of them for like $6.99.
Nice.
And then they had French vanilla.
And where did she find these?
What's that? These were at Hobby Lobby. And you see
Really?
where it says $6.99 on the pack right there.
Huh. I might have to try those.
And I think there's like, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that in there. But how many could you make with a jar of honey if just a spoonful at a time?
Yeah.
Thanks, Bob. That's a trip to Hobby Lobby.
Get your outlaw sticks, and I'd be curious to see. I should just treat those nukes only with the outlaw system until it runs out, and I have to and see how it works.
So how's those nukes doing for you?
Well, be honest with you, I put those in there, and other than putting a box, when I sold one on Saturday, I haven't been back in them. So I put a box on a real strong one, and I haven't been back in them. So this week when I go out, I'll check them again on Saturday. If they look good, I'll drop another box on top of them and just keep it moving, and throw another popsicle stick in there and see what happens. So it's going to be a interesting treatment. But I mean, the fact that it killed so many mites within 24 hours was promising. The fact that it had that many mites was bad, but the fact that it dropped them off of there, that was pretty good.
And what's this stuff that you're using, Bob?
Just Amatraz and Crisco.
Okay.
Apiary.
Okay.
Yeah, but stronger.
Right.
It's stronger. I don't believe. Well, hold on. I got an Apiary right here.
See you, Larimore.
Let's see what the Apiary percentage is. So the Amatraz is 3.33% active ingredient Amatraz, and I'm using 12.5% Amatraz. So say it's quite a bit stronger.
That, and you got to look at the amount that you're putting in there, whether it's, say, the 3% and it's one big dose, or 12% that you're using in small dose.
Yeah, you just put 1 ounce to that. I think he said I did not make it. Somebody gave it to me. Yeah, it is kind of smelly. It's got an odor to it.
And you just drop that in the bottom box on the bottom board?
That's it. And the mites fall off.
Yeah, but Apiary is thymol.
But It I was told this is what the commercial guys are using. So I said, okay, well, I'm not commercial, but I'll try it since you're giving it to me. And it did. I mean, they dropped. The key is it doesn't kill what's in the comb, right? What's in the brood. So you got to keep retreating it. But it's 1 week treatments as compared to 6 weeks. Don't know. I'm not going to keep it on there continuously, right? So I'm just going to do it.
There's an issue with Apivar resistance wise now.
But is it a resistance, or is it that they're batching? They're not getting consistent dosing in the strips. I mean,
Problem, huh? They're not getting consistent dosings.
You don't know. How do you know?
Well, if Apivar, I mean, if there's
with Apivar, you're getting a plastic strip, and they're telling you it's in there,
right? So for all we know, they could be feeding us a line of BS. But is anybody testing how much product is actually on those strips?
How do you do that? How would you do that? You'd have to melt the strip down. You'd have to take it to a lab. They would have to inject it into a machine that would tell them exactly what the breakdown is of it, right? So
well, I mean, Bob Benny actually mentioned that in I don't know if it was a video or what it was, but basically they got a bad batch of Apivar. Oh no.
Well, Ian said the same thing, right?
Yeah, I'd say they had a bunch of beekeepers saying they was getting some bad batches. What was that, last year or year before?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, what I will say is in one of my nukes that I know that I treated the bees with Apivar in the spring and oxalic acid in the fall, putting the stick in there, got 1 mite drop off of it. And the nuke that I got that I put it in dropped 25. So I'm going to say that my bees did not have that many mites in them.
Is there any treatment that anybody's found that we know? I'm guessing there isn't, that has been completely mite effective.
Gasoline.
Gas. Right. Just burn it.
Gasoline all the mites.
Cayman did figure one out too, though, that worked real good, got rid of all the mites. Tannerite.
Tannerite, yeah. But OA is not 100% effective. OA also doesn't penetrate the capping, right?
Now, if you got a brood break, say you had a little queenless hive, or you're putting in a virgin queen, or you're in a cold climate and you got a smaller brood, OA is pretty good.
I mean, because that's what I did. Was I used to do it, I'll say late fall, October, and they were still brooding. And now the last year or two, I wait until November, December, January, when it's minimal amount of brood in there, if any. And there was
so that's kind of the philosophy I used last year and pretty much every year, is if I can keep those mites down as low as possible, that when the bees start to diminish, that it's hard for the mites to catch up, right? And then I'm hitting them again and knocking them back down.
Well, what I find here, I mean, end of July or end of June, beginning of July, whenever I'm pulling honey off, I mean, that's when the dearth starts. So they're not really producing very much brood during that time because they don't have no other nutrition coming in to brood up. As soon as I pull supers off, I'll start hitting them with a couple of rounds of OA then to keep them knocked down through that dearth over the summer.
I mean, OA is a good quick knockdown for thoracic mites.
Yeah.
I mean, for me here in August, I start in August, and I've been using Apivar, and then last year I had a break where there was low humidity, and I did Formic Pro, and that gets underneath the cap, and as long as you use 2 strips, not 1.
Can't you treat with your supers on now with OA? Didn't that law change?
You can, but I do not do any treatments when I have honey on.
I don't either.
Cool. Okay.
I'm not going to contaminate.
I was about to say, I mean, to me, if it was losing one hive or keeping that hive and a little bit of honey on it and letting them finish the honey production, I'd rather lose the hive than treat with the supers on.
Mm-hmm. So I start in August and go all the way through February.
That's
And
how long
it's
it's been for.
usually the first two things is going to be Apivar or Formic Pro. Or this year, I'm going to do Guard and Formic Pro and then oxalic acid in the wintertime.
First
Where's your strainer at, Bob? That's the problem I see there.
Well, the problem is if I put the strainer on right there, it plugs up, and then I got to keep stopping it from coming, stopping it. So I found, excuse me, I found
how fast does it plug up? I mean, can you get a
really
5 gallon?
fast. Really
5 gallon? Can you get a 5 gallon bucket strained?
No. So what I ended up doing is and it's a pain in the ass. You pour it into my bottling tank, and I heat it up to thin it out and let all that wax float to the top, and then I start skimming it off as much as possible, and then I can run it through strainers, and I'll empty the whole tank out. This is what takes me so long. I'll empty the whole tank out back through a strainer into the 5 gallon bucket, and then I wash out. I got to wash all them bits of wax out of my bottling tank, and then do it again. And you got to watch, because with that pneumatic valve, them chunks of wax will mess it up. So
now another thing you can do, if you put your honey into your bottling tank, once it warms up, all that, or I'm not going to say all, but the majority of your wax is going to float to the top.
Well, you'll even see in this, even using the fine strainer, I mean, well, you probably can't. There's still little bits at the top. I mean, and that's using that plastic strainer, Lee.
But whether it's in your bottling tank or a 5 gallon bucket, when that wax rises to the top, cut you a little piece of plastic cellophane like you would put over your food bowls. And put that on top and just barely tap it with your hand, and then grab the center of that cellophane and pull up. All that wax is going to stick to the cellophane and pull off for you. Leave your honey.
Really good idea.
Bob, I got 2 brand new ones in the truck. I'll send up there to you. They're 5 gallon strainers we got from the paint store. And we wash them with bleach water before we use them to wash anything off of them. But I got 2
bucket and lift the whole thing out and take the wax out with it.
That's it. Stick it down in that puppy. Let your honey run off in that joker. Fill it up to whatever you want. Reach up there and just pull it up, and then a strainer out.
I've seen them do that. They'll take like a little piece of 2x4 and mount on something and slide their buckets under it. And when they pick that strainer up, they'll just tie it off to a nail and let it finish dripping out.
I was so frustrated Sunday that I was close to ordering that $1,600 gravity clarifier. I was so, you have no idea. I had it on the screen.
Yeah, but I don't know. I seen Mr. Ed had one of them, and he wasn't too happy with it.
I was close to doing it, but then I started thinking, but then I need a pump, because that's going to be on the ground, and now I got to get the honey back up to whatever, because I'm not going to be able to lift it. So,
and they ain't cheap.
Yeah, I was not.
Now, when you're talking about a bucket strainer, are you using them plastic jobs, or are you using the one that's got?
I have the metal one, and I have the plastic ones, like Lee was saying, the 200 micron ones.
See, whenever I'm coming out of my extractor into the 5 gallon bucket, I run it through a 400 micron plastic. Once I get it there, I pour it into my bottling tank, and I let it set for 1 to 2 days and warm up, and then I run it back out through a 200 micron. And then I pour that bucket back into my tank. And
what's that?
What is it? Just get a nut milk bag, y'all. That's all you need. You'll need 1 nut milk bag.
What's the stainless steel $40 strainer? What's that fine mesh? What's that?
The fine mesh is generally 500 micron. The coarse is 1,000 micron.
On the stainless, the $40. That's all I do is strain it that way, and I'm done.
Yeah. I run it through the 400 straight out of my extractor, and then through a 200 later.
The big problem that I have is because my comb is not thick enough to use my uncapper. So I'm using a roller, which gets all those bits of wax in.
Nah, that's your problem right there. I use that there uncapping plane where it comes off in like a thin sheet, and then it goes in my uncapping tank, and I don't have. That's the problem. You got them darn little parts.
I don't know if I saw Blaine's thing about buy it. If I don't like it, I can give it away in a drawing. No, I'm not. I don't think I'm gonna give away any more equipment, guys. And there's one reason why, because when I gave away that extractor, I said, please, if this, don't even get in on it. If you got something as good or better, don't get in on it, please. Because I wanted somebody that needed an extractor where it would have been an upgrade to give it away. And then I found out the person that won it sold it. And they sold it for $100 less than I bought it, never used. I said, if I'd have known that, I'd have just sent you the money and saved myself $100 plus shipping to not buy it, right? And that would have been cheaper for me. You would have still got the same amount of money, and it would have worked out for everybody. But instead, sold it because it was basically the same thing that they already had. So,
hey man, y'all smash that like, dude.
That kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So, you know, some of the stuff we do to try to help people out, you know, to help give them a little lift. If you're using a 2-frame hand crank extractor and you can get a 4 or 8 frame powered one, then, you know, that I felt kind of bad about that, because I know there's people like Spanky that could have used that extractor. You know, somebody else could, you know, I don't know what DC's got. Maybe DC could have used it, you know, but at the same time, that's one of the things. If you give something away, then once you give it away, there's no control of it. Right. So I felt kind of bad about that, to be honest with you. So it made me think about giving stuff away and if it's worth it, right? Like even the one I did the review on, that's fine. I only paid for shipping on that, so it was not a big deal. But when we did that giveaway, it cost me over $400 for that extractor, and they sold it for $300.
What an idiot.
Yeah.
And you know, so
That's 2 cases of frames.
yeah, I know. I could have bought some frames, right? So, I mean, it's one of those things, you know. I don't know. Maybe I should feel some kind of way about it. But
go to bed, guys. Tired.
You going out?
Yeah, I was out pulling thistle all day in my thistle garden. Yeah. So.
All right, man. Well, you have a good night.
Yeah, you guys have a good night. Man. It's good seeing you guys. Ben, Bob, all you guys.
Man. All right, Rich.
See ya. Y'all smash that like on the way out too, man. Don't leave Bob hanging.
Yeah, smash the super sticker. No, I'm just kidding. I see other streams. You getting out too?
Yeah, so it's fixing to rain, and we're gonna let the dog out one more time, and we're going to bed.
All right. Well, we'll see y'all later. I'm sure I'll be talking to you in the next few days.
Holler at us.
See you, Tim and Anna.
Y'all have a good one, Tim.
All right, guys. So so yeah, you know, that's maybe I shouldn't feel some kind of way about that, but it did kind of rub me the wrong way. I don't know. Because I mean, if I wouldn't have specifically said, if this is what you got, don't get it. You know what I mean? Please don't enter. And the thing I got was, well, I never win anything. I wasn't expecting to win. Well, you know, that's not the point. The point is you did win. You could have said at that point, oh, well, I don't really need this one. Spin again. You know what I mean? But.
Or he could have said, give it to Spanky.
Yeah. Or, you know what I'm saying? Give it to somebody who needs it or whatever.
Have you heard from Spanky lately?
No, I actually called Ricky today because Ricky talks to him pretty regular. And he said he talked to him about a month ago, and he said they had some issues with their bathroom. They were working to get that fixed. And
that's right. Brian, I agree with you. That's what Brian Flower Street said about.
With the plane, so my frames, they're only drawing it out as wide as the side.
I know. Yeah, well, I have that same situation. And what it does with the plane is I don't go up the frame or the length of the frame. I go sideways. I like doing it that way better. Now the wax, when it comes off that plane, you can set the depth on that thing I bought it. It came used. I bought a guy out, and it will plane off the wax about the thickness of a paper towel. And it comes off in those nice long little sheets.
Is that thing like $200?
Yeah, I think it is now. But just like Brian said, he told the guy at Peerco, because they have one. And he says, look, he says, I'll buy a plane from you if you'll put a thermostat gauge on that thing.
Oh, from Pierce?
From Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know what? I'd do the same thing if they do that, because that's the problem with that. Mine's a Max Ant, and it does have a little on and off switch, but you got to watch it like a hawk, because that plane will get hot, and then it'll caramelize the honey on there, and then it won't cut. It's like a dull knife, and then you have to take some scrubby and scrub all that off. And
I do have particular bees. Yeah, I don't crush.
And then after that, once you get that cleaned off, it's fine. Now, if I'm doing everything by myself. So if I'm moving stuff around and I have a what do you call it? A hot plate there, a wooden table thing, I turn it off,
Well,
if I could have it in an adjuster where you put it just right.
Mounts on it, where it's set a frame on it. Our uncapping tank has that triangle thing you can mount on it to use, knives or whatever to cut from. But yeah, I just, I need to blame my last. I remember you saying that, Bob. Spin again. Yep. And that's the oh wow, I just got another order. What did I get? I bet you it's pins. They're trying to sell me out of pins, y'all.
Yeah, that's the tank that me and Bob have here.
Yep.
And you can remove, wrong screen. You can remove the little frame holder from up here.
Yeah.
Right.
And what I do is I make the side with the valve on it, I make that lower. So mine actually is slanted down.
Yeah.
So the honey's running back towards the gate all the time.
Right. But that's what I use, and it works fine. Works good enough for me. That's why this year I let the bees, I have drawn wax. I let them fill it with nectar, and now I'm making it 9, went from 10 frame to 9 frame, and I'm hoping that they'll draw that wax out fatter.
So the right-handed plane, they have a right-handed plane and a left-handed plane?
It doesn't really matter to me. I don't see where
it'd be any difference on just a plane.
And it doesn't have a thermostat on it. It's $200.
Like I say, when Peerco or Pierce or whatever it is, if they can come out with one with a thermostat on it, I'll buy it.
Motorized chain uncapper, $3,400 from Max Ant.
Yeah, the problem of it is you've got all that. I watched like Mr. Ed and all, and they all have those Dakotas with a chain uncapper. But look at the amount of wax mess that it beats that wax off. And like you say, when you have like the machine that you got, if your wax that's built out isn't just right, it's not going to work. And then if it's really fat, it's going to cut a lot of wax off. And all. So,
well, to me, as far as if my frames are built out fat, which is what I want to cut that thick slab of wax and purify that to use for making my lip balms, candles, different stuff.
Yeah, I don't do any
but
of that.
It depends. Well, like you were just saying, it depends if you're into making that stuff. If you don't need all that extra wax, then you ain't going to want to cut that excess off.
Yeah. I don't know. Like Brian was just saying right there, it just does I think it does a much better job than a regular hot knife. It has it's got that cup underneath there, and you'll run it across that. I find it's all in the handle motion. If you can make that thing cut deep, cut light. but it's got that cup on the back that kind of winds that cup there. If it brings that sheet right there. Now, see, they're going down the width of the frame.
But that looks like a shallow too. Is that a medium or is that a shallow frame?
I don't know.
If they going sideways, I'm gonna figure that's a shallow.
Yeah, on my medium, I go across. I might have to wipe it. But what I'm getting at is, if there's like a low spot on my medium, lower than what I really like, I can make it go and move across the curve of it and all that stuff.
Look at that.
As far as this Honeygate thing or this here flow thing here, you got to have a lot of volume for that to work. And that was one thing that Mr. Ed found out right quick, that, hey, it takes a lot of time for that thing to flow right and all this other stuff.
And then once it does flow, you got to be able to pump it out of that. There's Brian. Well, there's Brian.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
What's up, Brian? How you
How you
doing?
doing, brother?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing well. You ready for school to be out?
Oh my gosh, so ready. So ready.
Now, Bob,
Yeah,
as far as our steam uncapper, the only difference I'm seeing, your wooden frames, you do have that little bit wider shoulder on it, I guess, compared to a plastic frame. So if you look on that steam uncapper, the video, everyone that they're showing is the plastic, so you got those narrow shoulders. And as it goes across, I mean, the wax falls off.
Yeah, but my wax hasn't been thick enough.
Yeah, but look at that frame right there. That wax is about, it looks like to me, 1/4 to 3/8 past the frame and all.
And then if you got plastic frames, it's one depth, right? Then you got to adjust the blade and redo everything for wooden.
Yeah.
So
you have to make that little adjustment.
And if you got them mixed up like I do, you got to separate them as you're doing them. So that's
why I like the plane, because it's basically a fancy knife, because you might have to manipulate it a little bit. You can dig in deeper if it doesn't get pulled out all the way. You might need to do a couple passes on each side, but I think it works out pretty good. And like Charlie was saying, you just got to time, turning it on and turning it off. And yep, I think Charlie was there when I told the guy at Pierce, put a little thermostat.
I don't think I was there, but you had mentioned that, in a talk. And I'm like, yeah, I agree with you 100%.
I mean, for $200, I mean, come on, man. I mean, it's not, what is it really? It's just a heated blade, right? You'd think.
Well,
I've tried everything. I've tried the electric carving knife and all that.
No, you're making bits when you're doing all that.
Yeah, that roller.
And that thing, all you're doing is punching holes, and you can punch holes and you won't get all the cells opened up either.
Nope.
And like I say, when you have that frame and it is, let's say the wax is going down and then it divots in, you can take that plane and go like that and follow the curvature of the wax and get it all. And let's say you miss a little spot over here, you can go over there and just kind of nick it with the corner of that knife. And you don't have all that. My wax is in sheets. It looks like the thickness of a paper towel, and it's in little short sheets, and it's all together. It doesn't, it's all together and everything. And I've used a hot knife, and I'm like, well, hot knife, yeah, you can, when I was taking a class one time, it was the bet was, can you make and cut one pass up the frame and have one solid sheet, and all that kind of stuff. But with the plane, you can get that done.
They want for that chain uncapper, they want $3,400.
Yeah. And the thing of it is, you got the same problem with that chain uncapper as you do with that uncapping machine that you got. It will not hit the low spots because you have to adjust it. And you'll have to adjust those chains as far as the depth cut. And if it's uneven wax, it has to be just right. And all.
So what you're saying is I'm going to be spending $200 in my near future.
Well, I would wait, like say, I would be going to Pierce and saying, look, you need to do this. If you can make James a longer knife
But
by
did he
this,
ever
by
get
this.
that knife? We don't even know.
Yeah, they made it. They made it.
Now, Bob, you talking about $3,400 for that chain uncapper? I mean, compared to the Silver Queen at 9,600.
Yeah, but I wouldn't buy that anyway. I wouldn't buy that piece.
To me, for that one little piece of equipment like that, that's way overpriced just for an uncapper.
I could buy the Lyson one that does the exact same thing for half that price.
Well, if you can get the Lyson uncapper like that, motorized with the steam system, with the table and an extruder under it to squeeze any excess honey out of your wax
for that
and
price.
You got just wax blocks coming out for 10 grand.
But again,
and you get everything.
But again, if you don't have wide cone, you're still at the limit of what the frame width is, right?
Whatever your frame width is.
Yeah, but you got to look at how much you're going to do. The volume. That's.
No, I mean,
and that's and you got to remember one thing. Got to have a place for that. So now you have to have a honey house. Now you're going to spend $20,000 or $30,000 in a building.
I got 350 square foot honey house.
Yeah, but you gotta, you gotta have the machine, the building to do all that.
So Pierce does have the uncapping night with the thermostat on it. So why can't they do that with the plane?
That's what I say. Yep.
That's what I said. That's what Brian said.
Because China don't make them that way yet. And as soon as China makes them,
he said they're working on it. That's what he said. He said they're working on it. So we'll see.
Well, let's look how hard they worked on it. Let's look at their site, Pierce.
Oh, it's not up. Yeah, I've looked a couple of weeks ago. I always like to look and see what's out there. So, Bob, what are you going to talk about on Thursday?
Well, we're talking beekenomics and swarm control.
But you got your outline all drafted out?
No.
He's just flying from the hip, right?
I was wondering if he had the PowerPoint completed.
Well,
yeah, that's right.
It's going to be round robin, so I'm not going to try to dominate the whole conversation, No, I don't have 1,000 yet. I've got 60 right now.
But I don't know. What it is, it's a Facebook group here in Baltimore. It's a spinoff from another club. And it's kind of like a social club. We get together and go to local breweries and talk bees. And that's our meeting. You might say if it's live. And then last week they were going to do a live in-hive demo thing at one of our club members. But it was, of course, raining that weekend and all that. So they said, we'll do a Zoom. So they asked, the lady Lynn, who's kind of the head of it, she said, ask me. I said, can you get the guys off of our live streams and stuff like that? So I said, well, we'll get Bob and he'll talk about bee, trying to find different subjects than instead of the same old subjects over and over.
You don't want me to talk about Varroa mite treatment?
No, we don't want to do no mites. I said, well, and it's like I talked to Lynn and, she was in a situation, well, they're backfilling the brood nest. I says, well, that tells me one thing. You don't have enough. Your honey supers are full. That's why they're backfilling. And so she started doing that, putting some supers on here just, as soon as she got off talking with me. And it's, I was going to, talk about that for swarm control, talk about equalizing for swarm control, that kind of thing.
Bob, you should talk about like varietal honeys and ways to increase the value of your honey beyond just selling liquid honeys. Thinking about the audience, you're probably not going to have people buying.
I know. I really need to have Brian on this.
Products.
Maybe I need. Huh?
I'm not gonna jump Bob's big chance.
No.
But they're not gonna want to be like, oh, buy 100 sets of pen and like flipping pens or flipping equipment. You got to think about ways that the backyard beekeeper could make money. So splits, raising queens, a couple nukes a year as a way to do spring management, ways to maximize your honey harvest, making creamed honey, making specialty honeys. You know all about that. But think about your audience. It's not going to be like the Beakonomics guys on this kind of chat. I'm guessing. Is that right, Charlie? Is that the audience?
It's just a group of us getting together on a Zoom.
Yeah.
And they were just trying, well, what can we do? Or I said, she asked me, can you get some different ones from here? And I said, yeah.
How can you make money out of beeswax too? What are the different things you can do to beeswax to make like value added products kind of thing?
Right.
Well, it's all, that's the same thing. Like I haven't done a lot of like infused honeys, and different states have different rules on that type of thing. Right. So,
right.
Now I'm blessed with the fact that we don't really have the bee police, right? Nobody comes and monitors what I do or anything. So, you guys do have that up there. So that's a difference, right? So, and Brian, you have different laws as far as like infusing and what your rules are. So, like using peppers to make hot honey and selling. When you look at the amount of peppers that I put in a batch, it probably cost me $10 worth of peppers, right? But then I can sell my honey like an 8-ounce bear for like $15. So now I've taken 8 ounces, which I would sell for less than $10, right? Because I sell $10 a pound. Now all of a sudden I'm making more than I would for a pound of regular honey.
Do you guys know what this is?
It looks like very dark honey.
I'm figuring coffee.
Probably cinnamon creamed honey.
Lee's got it. So a pound of ground French espresso beans in 3/4 of a 5-gallon bucket. So taking $30 more of that ground espresso beans, and you want to ground it super fine as you
powder.
can. Yep, and espresso honey, just like you're talking about, Bob. This will increase our price like 50%. So adding $30 and some elbow grease, right? And then you can increase your money quite a bit. So there's my Beakonomics tip of the day: espresso honey. Oh,
so that's an 8-ounce jar, right?
Yeah, this is an 8-ounce. Yep. So we do an 8-ounce and a 12-ounce.
Yeah, but I think, Brian, the main thing, is that you went out and figured all that out on your own. You didn't, you just this is how you do it type of thing. I don't believe you knew you took the espresso stuff and ground it and experimented and all that. And that's kind of sort of like a trade secret type thing where you only have it. Nobody else has it. It isn't something that's a standard thing that a lot of people do.
But anyone could do it.
Well, you still have to figure out how to do it.
Well, I'm sure if you look hard enough online, you could probably find, like I sent Brian the picture of those honey spoons. And then you know what I did? I came home and looked on YouTube for honey spoons. And there's several people that make the honey spoons.
So that's what I've been doing tonight. I've been listening on and off, taking phone calls, making stuff, and
labeling.
Yeah, labeling it.
And how much would that jar cost retail at your stand?
This is $16 for an 8-ounce and $22 for a 12-ounce.
So actual honey weight is what?
This is 8 ounce. This 8 ounce.
8 ounces of honey, half pound.
$16. And then my 12 ounce will be $22. And
so
some people walk away and go, no, thanks. But that's our market. We live in a metro area.
It's foo-foo honey. It's specialty honey.
That's right.
So when you look at that, though, if you're doing 8 ounces for $16, that's $32 a pound of honey compared to 10. You've 3x'd, and it doesn't cost you 3 times as much for the ingredients. And that's what I was, getting at with with the honey, with the hot honey. It doesn't cost me 3 times, or it doesn't cost me half again, right? I'll spend like $10 on peppers, chop them up, put them in there, and then once it's sat in that jar for 3 weeks, then I dump that in a 5-gallon bucket and fill it up with honey and stir the crap out of it and strain out. Well, usually I strain out the peppers while I'm pouring it in right into the strainer.
Espresso rustler.
At the store near you. Hey, you know what? I'm really surprised that I still have some of this honey rustler left over here. I thought that people would be buying it more with honey season coming up, but I haven't put it on Amazon yet because I got to get Lee to make me a white background photo.
Which one you need?
The new product, honey rustler.
Oh, the rustler one. Yeah,
And then I'll have to bottle up the remainder of what I got.
You got to send me one, and then I'll do the background.
It costed me a free bottle of product.
Now,
So,
Philip,
Brian,
I know. Yeah, go ahead, Charlie.
What would you say I mean, I know you do a lot of weekend fairs and stuff. So is it kind of like a, I don't know, you're a connoisseur type of people who are buying your products and stuff? Or are they kind of like,
I think if you had that espresso on a honey spoon that they could just put right in their coffee, or like a French vanilla that they could just put right in the coffee, and now you're flavoring, you're sweetening it and giving it that French vanilla taste.
That's right. I'm not sure they're necessarily connoisseurs. I correlate the word connoisseur with expert, Charlie. And I'm not sure that those are the.
Well, what I'm getting at is they're not, I don't know, they're folks with a lot of money.
Yeah, we're definitely going to markets in the right parts of the neighborhood. We're not going to the flea market to sell our honey. You know, people do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But
it's a different audience.
We're looking for the right customer base. You know, we jar our honey really nicely. We jar them like a gift, and a lot of times they get presented as gifts. Like this year is our first year. Sunday's our first market. That's why I'm sitting here getting all this stuff ready. This is our first year where we committed to a farmer's market for the entire season from beginning to end. Prior to that, we've been doing a lot of pop-up markets. And I've told you this before. Yeah, Mark, I'm working on it.
Ice creamed honey popsicles.
We've spent a lot of time like researching the market scene, and we've tried different markets, and we've tried different neighborhoods, and we've tried different companies that do the pop-up markets, and we've kind of dialed in what we're looking for, what's worked well, what's been a good return on our investments, and what's been just like just an okay return on our investments. And you know, as my wife.
Upscale type stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to the neighborhoods that there's the people that have money typically. Yep.
But it's also called building value in your product. So even with my swarm lure, right? Not to bring up the swarm lure, but per se, but like, why did I get upset that you could buy it one place at a lower price than everywhere else, even than what I sell it? Because there's a value I'm trying to create in the product, right? So if one guy is whoring it out, it makes it really hard to build the value. Well, I can just buy it over there for this much. That's why that person probably won't be able to reorder it, you know, because they're not on the same wavelength. How can I have Texas Bee Supply killing it with it and ordering 250 more bottles because they've already sold out of their first order, and then I got another guy that's basically giving it away and, you know, cutting his own profit margins on a product just to sell it, and it's not a good look for the brand. So that's what, once you start doing something like Brian's doing with his honey, well, why is his honey more expensive? Well, because I know I raise the bees, they produce the honey, I put top quality ingredients in my product. You could taste the difference. You know what I mean? You have to build that perception. So when somebody says, why is your honey $10 a pound or $15 a pound or whatever you're getting for it, and you say, well, I can't get that for mine. The only reason you can't get it is because you're not demanding it. You have to tell them that, look, this is the price of my honey. And when they start saying, well, that's too high, well, you drove here to get it.
Yeah, they'll come into me, and they'll say, well, I can get it at the store, let's say $4 a bottle, a pound or what. I say, yeah, if you want to buy that Chinese honey, go right ahead.
But what about they tell them read that label on the back?
And then
where
they
it
look
comes
at me
from.
like, what do you mean? And then I tell them, what they're doing.
Right, you have to-
I always say go home and look up Honeygate.
Yeah.
And then come back and buy my honey.
Well,
I don't say it like that.
You
no,
passed 5 stores on the way here. Why didn't you stop and get some of the $4 honey?
What's that? The video about it, Brian? Honeygate?
No, Honeygate is just they can look it up on the internet. You can learn all about the.
It's the first episode of Rotten on Netflix.
Yeah, that's a good reference too.
Love
but it's all about.
They talk all about Honeygate on there.
It was like a big company importing honey from China and other countries, and they're just pawning it off as
local honey.
They actually
local honey or whatever.
Were in jail from Germany.
That's right.
We're buying. It was honey, adulterated honey from Russia, I think, and they knew that they used an illegal chemical to treat their bees, and they weren't supposed to sell it. But instead of that, what they did is they just discounted the price to get it gone, and then it gets blended into other people's honey. And at the bottling plant, I guess. And so it's a big thing on it. But the main thing is, for me, is people are saying, do you sell 1 gallon? Nope. Do you sell quarts? Nope. I could. I've got the honey to do it, but the thing is,
I had one guy ask me, will you sell quarts? I said, if you bring the quart jar and it's washed and everything else, and I said $27.50, and then was like, all right, I'll see you later. I'm like, yeah, he'll never call back.
Well, that's the thing, is that they think that if they're ordering more, they need to get a discount. But like I told the guy today, is I have no problem selling my honey out. Matter of fact, every year I've had to subsidize my honey by going to another beekeeper, right? So I'm trying to get to the point to where I don't go to the other beekeeper to have to get.
That's what I've done in the last 2 years through single brood chamber management.
So that's the whole thing, right? So if I'm not having to go buy it and do my I can do my own thing, then I control my market, right? So yeah, so backyard beekeeper, I'll say it's even more important to get the price that you should be getting. I see people on Facebook selling it for $20 a pound, right? They're selling $10 for 8-ounce jar. And I'm selling it $10 for a 1-pound jar. So they're selling it twice as much as me. And they're actually putting ads and stuff on Facebook and probably selling it all. So
and that's something you should tell the audience on Thursday is you value your honey, value your small batch backyard honey, because there's only so much of it and you're going to have no problem selling it.
Right.
So, and I started saying things like, why would I sell you a bucket of honey for that much money when I can sell it in jars and make, 3 times as much money? But I learned that kind of rubs people the wrong way. Like when you talk just about money. So I've gotten to the point where I've refined my responses and I say, I'm sorry,
right.
we focus on small batch artisanal specialty honeys. We don't focus on wholesale honeys. That's just not what we do. So I've learned how to say the same thing in a much nicer way to not put off that customer, even though I'm still saying no, just in a nicer way.
Well, when you say buckets like that, I mean, like you say, Brian, you can only produce so much.
That's right.
And I, it's like I'm looking for 800 to 1,000 pounds a year, so I can get from one season to the next season without running out. I don't want to. I mean, over the previous years, up in the last couple of years, yeah, I used to buy probably 500 pounds of honey,
And that's why, that's why when someone sells their honey cheaper than I do, like the guy that I always say calls up and asks me a bunch of questions that it's like, dude, you've been keeping bees as long as me. You should know this, right? So when you look at his presentation of his jars, he'll have a jar like this, which is 1.5 pounds, but he'll only fill it up to like right here. It looks like somebody's been dipping in it because he's paying for the same jar, but he's not giving them as much honey.
He's only putting a solid pound in it, and it looks like less to the customer.
Right. It looks like you're selling me half a jar of honey. So presentation becomes a
exactly. It was just like when I first started out, the one guy in the club told me, and he said, if you're going to sell honey, put honey in honey jars.
Yep.
Right.
And make it look good,
But now keep in mind where I'm at, right? And probably very similar to you, right? I don't go to markets, right? Presentation, I've had people tell me, don't even worry about the label. It doesn't matter, to them. So I'm sitting out half the time. I don't even put my truck out anymore. Today I sold $140 worth of honey from people just stopping and buying it. Once they know you've got it, if I went up on the price, would it make some people mad? Maybe. But then I can, it's really easy to justify. It's like, well, look, gas is $3 a gallon. And I just started pointing out the equipment, because people like to talk bees when they come and get their honey. And you start talking about your bees, and then you start explaining, each one of these boxes that you see stacked up, now you can really say it is about $50 a box, right? Actually, it's closer to $60.
Yeah, I was about to say a little more than that, because last time I checked Better Bee, just for a single deep frame, it's like $550 a frame now.
Well, those frames I just bought, I got 172 frames, cost me $600. So do that math. $3 a piece, right? $3 is a change a piece.
Plus the box, plus the bottom board, plus if you run in inner covers, lids, your time out there doing it.
That's right. But it's just like I tell people, I said, I got a $600 medicine bill for these bees.
Right.
I got $1,200 worth of sugar I got to buy in the fall.
And don't let me walk them around to the honey house, because if we go to the honey house and they start seeing the equipment, you're like, well, that was $3,000. That was $2,000. That not including the shipping. And you start opening their eyes a little bit. Not to mention, when you came up and I was hefting that box, that 60-pound box of honey, and it's 90 degrees outside, Yeah,
well, I'll tell them like that. I said, well, I didn't see you up there when it was 98 degrees helping me out with these bees.
Well, tell them, by the time you get your bottom board, your boxes, frames, covers, all that, and if you got a stack of supers on there, basically and if you're paying for bees, if you're not paying for bees, you still got the value of those bees in that box. Even
well,
if
I find the people that come to buy my honey,
that's $500 a hive right there.
I find the people that come to buy my honey really don't. Most of them don't negotiate the price with me.
Mm-hmm.
What's your price? This is the price. And then if they've got $40, well, give me 2 jars, give me 3 jars, whatever, 4 1-pounders or whatever. So they kind of spend to their money around here, as compared to, you'll get some people that tried and, well, can I get 2 for 20? No, and I'm just that matter of fact. I would love to be able to do that, but I can't afford to do that because I've got to think. I'm already thinking next year, guys. I'm not. This year is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be, right? Your bees are going to produce X amount of honey. You don't know what that is until it's done. And the nukes that I've got, I'm trying to grow into 10 frames for next year to hopefully produce more honey. So it's like, I'm not really focusing at this point on this year, because this year is in progress, right? So you already know what's going to happen. You've got X number of colonies. You can here you can probably figure maybe 50 pounds, 55 pounds if you got a good strong colony, and trying to work towards what I'm going to do going forward for next year. And maybe I'm the only one that's doing that right now. I think, Charlie, you pretty much run the same routine. You know how many nukes you got to do to keep where
Well,
you're
last year I was running light on honey supers. I bought 20 boxes.
right.
And $400 and some dollars at the time. I think that's what it was. What do you got, Lee?
Now, my batteries are dead right now, but I'm saying as far as equipment, I mean, depending on what you're doing, like the farmer's market, this is all touch screen. Like I said, my battery's dead, but it's got a barcode scanner, laser scanner for the front, for the credit cards, printer, and all that's all built in. So, I mean, that's more expense there.
Well, even with the website, right? So what people see is the price, but they don't see the percentage you have to pay to the credit card processor, or or the piece that you have to pay for the shipping. And so I've said it before. So like when somebody orders off my website, awesome, I appreciate it. However, shipping, I have to pay now. That money doesn't come from the credit card processor. Could be 3 days. If you order on the weekend, it might not be for 5 days or 6 days, so it's always I'm putting the money out, waiting for the money to come back, right? Same thing with the honey. You put out all the money for your jars and everything, and now you're waiting to sell those to recoup your money and hopefully make a little bit of a profit on it. So I'll say with the honey I sold today, that I've overpaid for the pint jars that I filled them all up in, right? So it's just one of those things. Let me see,
Yeah.
80 frames.
There's a lot of little costs in running a business, whether it's the bag or the mailer or the bubble wrap or whatever. There's all these little costs, and every little thing adds up. So people don't understand that. And I'm okay if people walk away and say your honey's too expensive. It's okay
Right.
for me. This honey's not for you. That's okay. I understand.
Right.
That doesn't
And-
bother me one bit.
Hey, Brian, do you have your cocoa honey on your website?
No, we don't
Neat.
sell the honey on our website very much. I don't like to ship honey. It's not my
Yeah.
favorite thing to do. It's super heavy. It's super
Fragile.
breakable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't sell our honey. I sent Mark some honey. I sent Mark a package 2 days ago. So like you, I sent some honey, Lee, but it's not my favorite thing to do. In
Well-
fact, we're out of all of our creamed honey right now.
You go into Hive Life next year, right?
Yes, sir.
Bring some cocoa with you.
Will do. Did you like that one?
I'm out.
I'm
There
out.
you go. Right on.
But yeah,
You know-
that's, let me see. I ran into an issue with the jars. I went to Ollie's looking for jars. I've been to Dollar General looking for jars. I've been to Family Dollar looking for jars. And I ended up having to go to Target. And Target had pint jars that was $11.80 for a dozen. So a little bit higher, but when it starts coming down to $1 over 12, is 9 cents difference. I don't really, it's not worth my gas to drive somewhere else at that point to buy them, right? I'll just get them when I'm there. Plus they had the nice smooth jars, which only has the little small ball logo on it. And I still have tons of honey in my tank. So I usually buy the Golden Harvest jars at Walmart, but our Walmart, this is the craziest thing ever. So our Sam's Club had a flood from the fire system. So they closed down. Then our Walmart had a fire. So it closed down. And our Aldi's, they had a flood. So all three of those stores right here on our strip were closed down for a few days. So I went down to Target and picked those up. But yeah, so I mean, I usually get the Golden Harvest because they're a little bit cheaper, but and I find that the people that come on a regular and buy them, they'll actually, a lot of them will bring me the empty jars back. And then I just, put them in the dishwasher, wash them, heat dry them. And
We got one lady that'll come by Renee's work that she's known for a long time, and she'll buy a thing of honey, and every now and then she brings the jar back and says, just refill this one for me.
Well, my thing is I've already got them already filled, and so I just rotate them out. I'm trying to be a little more selective on filling up my 1-pounders because they're plastic, and if they crystallize, even in the incubator, it's hard to get them. And I find myself having to go in there and spin them and flip them and try to get it to mix, and it just doesn't do right. And that's the only reason I like the glass 1-pounders a little bit.
Well, what I do as far as my plastic ones, what you're using the incubator, so you probably can't stand them upright. You're laying them down, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have the full size freezer that I use for the honey warmer. So I'll take the whole case, the whole box, put in there, and I'll leave it for a day or two. And then I actually turn the box upside down. That way all your pollen or any little crystallization ain't left in the bottom. It kind of mixes everything in.
Now the glass jars, not a problem decrystallizing because the glass spreads the heat all the way out, I guess, on there. But that's usually not a problem to do.
So you have problems with your honey crystallizing after it's bottled?
It takes a while for it to crystallize, but once it crystallizes, it's hard to uncrystallize it. And then I always get that little bit of crystallization that's still on the bottom, and it's not a good look all the time. So I had honey like when that lady came, but some of it is crystallized, so I just don't,
See, the local commercial apiary by me, they said the same thing as far as the filters we were talking about earlier. They run it through the 200 also, and they said the more smaller wax particles you can get out of your honey, the longer it'll take to crystallize.
Oh, the labels. What I find is if I just soak the label, like soak it in some warm water with soap, that paper just kind of usually dissolves or starts breaking up, and I can just scrape it off. It's not really a big deal.
Depends on the type of label too. Some will come off really easy and some are really papery. We like to use the glossy ones because really nothing's going to happen to those if you put them in water to recrystallize or to reliquify, but you might have to rewrite anything by hand. Like if we Sharpie any information on that,
or
we might need to
give
rewrite
yourself
that.
a Ziploc bag, put it in a Ziploc bag.
That's a good idea.
I've done that with plastic and water. Now, the problem of it is you put it in there, it'll blow up because you're heating the atmosphere up. So you bleed it off and then close it back up and just turn it. It likes to float. If you can try to kind of hold it down in there, it works just fine.
Yeah.
But I have like you say, a refrigerator where I've got a heat lamp in there and leave it in there for a couple of days and it's fine if there's any crystallization. But since I'm doing the bottling tank, of course I kind of sell it as quick as I make it or bottle it. So, well, it's 11 o'clock. I'm back. I'm out of here.
So, yeah, it's getting late.
Too.
Right.
My boss is going to be out of town for the next, starting Thursday. So tomorrow is going to be a good day. And then when the boss is away, the employees play. It's a little bit easier around there.
Yep. So, all right. I'll catch y'all later.
All right, Charlie.
Have a good night, Charlie.
Converted a wine cooler into an incubator. See, I want to do that. I just didn't want to have a bunch of like refrigerators up in my honey house, taking up a bunch of space. So that's why I didn't buy like a.
Well, as far as I have the full size upright freezer in there, and I have enough room in the bottom. I can put 2 or 3 5-gallon buckets, at least 2 if I had to. I could stack one on top, and then I have a couple shelves at the top that I can slide. 2, 4, probably about anywhere between 4 and 6 cases on each shelf.
And I guess if you keep them at that temperature the whole time, then crystallization wouldn't start.
Yeah,
as easy. So that would be a better way to do it. And I thought about building me a cabinet and all that stuff. So we'll see what I come up with. It's just I've got a bunch of stuff to do and not a bunch of time to do it in,
That's why I'm so excited to go full time, Bob, because I don't have time to do half the things I want to do. I have a little refrigerator that I bought from a guy. I have all the parts. I just haven't had the time to put it together yet.
Right.
But I'm doing my hot honey in that this year too.
Yeah, that'll make a. I'm telling you, I would. I'm at that point now to with the lure and everything that it's like, could I make more money not working by being able to actually contact bee supply stores and stuff like that, or am I better off just staying at the job? So it's.
And I think for you, part of the math you have to do is, where are you making more money? Is it in the bee yard, or is it in that room right there? Are you making more money selling products, or are you making more money selling bees and honey?
This year so far, definitely making more with swarm lure,
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things that you gotta crunch the numbers, as James would say. And let me see, 100 degrees if you keep it hot. Bob Benny did a good video on that while back.
Yes, he did.
But how hot is? I mean,
150 to pasteurize, but the more elevated the heat, it lowers the time that it's really good for. Say 90 degrees, it'd be good for a certain amount of time. 110, it's going to be good for a shorter amount of time.
I've also
he had an article that he done. I believe it was in one of the bee journals.
Culture. It was Bee Culture.
I remember looking it up, and it kind of gives you what temperature and how long.
I've also found that if you take your jars of honey and put them in your truck and just leave it in there, that the heat that builds up during the day will also decrystallize it.
That's an uncontrolled environment, though. Even though I've done it and it works plenty good, I don't know what temperature it went up to and for how long.
Right. Even 95 degrees caused decrystallize and darken my honey. Yeah, it will. I mean, that's why it's a necessary evil, but if you can leave it out as long as you can.
Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people don't realize it, though, but freezing it will keep it from crystallizing and make it stay good longer.
But
that's the best long-term storage. Absolutely, Lee.
Will it expand it, like the moisture in it? Will it expand like?
I'm sure if you had a higher moisture content, it would. So, I mean, you want to make sure you got enough room in the container and possibly not completely sealed off. Now, I'm going to go ahead and post a link in the comments here to that article that Bob Benny did in the Bee Culture magazine. And it tells you what temperature, how long each thing is going to be good for.
Yeah, that's a great article.
All right, guys. Well, it's 11:11. Let's go ahead and call it for this evening. Day after tomorrow, I guess I'm going to be speaking to the Greater Baltimore Beekeepers Association. It's a prestigious award, like from Italy, and I've got some other things that I'm working on. If it pans out, it'll be interesting. So it's not really beekeeping related, but I'm going to make it beekeeping related. So we'll see how it goes. And that's about all I can say about that, because it could not happen. So, and if it doesn't happen, then I'll explain what it was that I was working on. Or if it does happen, I'll explain, but it's going to just take some time. So at any rate, guys, y'all have a good evening, and we'll see you on the next stream.
Thank y'all for joining in again. Have a good one.
We got Charlie's on Friday too, right?
Yeah, he should be back this Friday. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, y'all have a good one.
Yeah, good seeing you guys.
And you